Chapter 145. The structure of the Purple Demon Tower is indeed peculiar. After entering from the front door, there is a hexagonal hall. Each side of the hexagonal hall corresponds to a corridor. Except for the entrance at the front door, the other 5 corridors all have several rooms. This is the case on the first floor. Standing in the hall on the first floor, Dijo can see endless water by raising his head. This is because the same place on the second floor is hollow. It looks very good from the outside, and it's even more pleasing to the eyes from the inside. Standing in the hall, Chinyu looks at the various color combinations in the pavilion. He really wants to find out who designed this Purple Demon Tower. Not only is the structure novel, the color combinations inside are also extremely outstanding. Even Di Jian and the other 2 have a rare faint smile on their faces. All right, let's go upstairs to the northern corridor. Di Jian directly gives an order. Di Qing and Di Luan also nod. As for Chinyu, he simply has no right to object. Of course, Chinyu does not feel like objecting. Even though he is led by these 3 majesties, Chinyu still has a faint smile on his face. It seems Chinyu is not worried about himself at all. Keep smiling. Wait until we get to the 9 Spirits Hall. Di Luan laughs coldly in his heart. He has already imagined the result of Chinyu being swallowed by the awakening jellyfish protector. After going up to the second floor, they directly go along the northern corridor. There are rooms on both sides of the northern corridor. Di Luan observes them carefully, then says to Di Jian and Di Qing, "Second brother, 6th brother, I'll go to the room on the left. 6th brother will go to the room on the right. Second brother, and that Chinyu will go to the room in the middle." Okay. Di Jian nods, then immediately enters the room on the right. Di Qing shouts at Chinyu, "Chinyu, come with me. Don't be so grumpy. Relax, relax." Chinyu says smilingly. Immediately afterwards, he also enters the room in the middle in a relaxed manner. Di Luan warns him from behind, "Second brother, be careful. This Chinyu is no pushover. He's comparable to a middle Dongshu stage expert. You absolutely can't relax." Hearing Di Luan's warning, Di Qing only nods. But the look in his eyes when he looks at Chinyu becomes even fiercer. He couldn't relax at all. The 3 majesties of the 9 Spirits Hall knew very well that if they wanted to return to the 9 Spirits Hall safely, the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province would not be willing to do so. Even though they were in the Great Shell Cave abode, they did not dare to lower their guard. After all, the Great Shell Cave abode was almost defenseless in the eyes of the experts from the Blue Dragon Temple and Blue River Province. Times in the central room, Di Qing was seated cross-legged with his eyes closed. However, his spiritual sense was completely locked onto Chinyu, not allowing Chinyu to do anything secretive. Chinyu, however, obeyed the rules, sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed and extremely quiet. Suddenly, Chinyu opened his eyes and looked at Di Qing with a smile. "Hey, Your Highness?" Chinyu shouted. Seeing that Di Qing didn't respond, he immediately raised his voice. "Di Qing." Although Chinyu couldn't distinguish the appearances of the 9 majesties of the 9 Spirits Hall, he knew their names. Since he knew that it was the second majesty, of course he knew their names. Di Qing frowned. He opened his eyes and glanced at Chinyu. "Shut up. Your Highness, aren't you a little bored? Let's have a chat." Chinyu stood up and walked towards Di Qing, as if he wanted to get close to him. Di Qing's expression immediately changed, and his protective demonic elemental energy became even stronger. The purple demon armor had already protected his body. "Stop." Di Qing shouts at Chinyu. Even though he is confident that he can defeat Chinyu, in his opinion, the gap between him and Chinyu is not too large. If they get so close to each other, he will be able to launch a sneak attack. If he got close to Di Qing, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. "Why are you so nervous?" Although Chinyu said so, he still stopped when he saw Di Qing's cautious appearance. Di Qing said coldly, "Go back to your seat or else." Before Di Qing could finish, Chinyu hurriedly said, "Okay, don't worry. I'll go back. I definitely won't disturb you." Chinyu was still smiling, as if he wasn't angry at all. He walked back to the place where he had been sitting cross-legged. "Too old-fashioned." Qin Yu muttered to himself. Then, he sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to cultivate. Seeing Qin Yu like this, Di Qing also closed his eyes. However, he didn't dare to relax his spiritual sense in the slightest. Guarding Qin Yu wasn't a good job. Time passed minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 4 to 6 hours had passed. Qin Yu opened his eyes and glanced at the door. Then he closed his eyes again. However, he thought to himself, given the power of the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province, what I said in the main hall last time must have spread. They should also come tonight. When Qin Yu said that in the main hall that day, even if Di Jian and the other two silenced him in the main hall, the news would still spread out, because Qin Yu had already arranged for his men to secretly spread the news before the three majesties arrived. As Qin Yu expected, people from the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province have all come. Times after receiving Fu Hao's message, Lord Lu knows that the three majesties of the Nine Spirits Hall have taken Qin Yu to live in the Purple Demon Tower. He is hiding in a rockery far away from the tower. His aura has been completely restrained. Even if Lord Tung, whose power is close to his, comes here, he probably won't be able to discover him. Lord Lu's eyes have returned to their normal blue color. Stroking his small beard, a hint of relaxation appeared on his face. This time even Di Jian has come. If we really fight, I won't necessarily be a match for this purple demon aquatic dragon. Even if I catch Qin Yu, it'll be very difficult for me to escape. If I keep hiding here and let Ting Shan get into action, maybe I'll be able to reap the benefits. Alone, Lord Lu pays full attention to the Purple Demon Tower, not daring to relax in the least. Compared to Lord Lu, who has gone to hide early, Lord Tung of the Blue Dragon Temple is the opposite. They've just moved into the Purple Demon Tower, so those people must be nervous. When they've rested for 6 hours and become completely relaxed, I'll secretly catch Qin Yu. Standing on the peak of a mountain range at the bottom of the sea, Lord Tung looks at the distant Great Shell Cave. Behind Lord Tung were the 5 guardians. Time goes by minute. Lord Tung's face looks like a rock sculpture, always so solemn. It's about time. Lord Tung's eyes suddenly brighten. At the same time, he tells the 5 guardians behind him through holy sense communication. All of you get ready. When I catch Qin Yu and go back, your mission is to stop Di Jian. Yes. The 6 guardians bow and say via holy sense communication. At the moment, they do not dare to say anything. Even though this place is very far away from the Great Shell Cave, it is better to be safe than sorry. After all, experts who have reached the late Dongshu stage have much more powerful senses than ordinary people can imagine. Lord Tung lifts his blood-red robe and puts it into his interspatial ring at once. After all, blood red is rather conspicuous at the bottom of the sea. Dressed in black, Lord Tung starts to rush towards the Great Shell Cave by relying on his physical strength. The horned dragon is also a demonic beast with an extremely strong physical body. Lord Tung easily enters the Great Shell Cave and goes directly towards the Purple Demon Tower. Lord Tung's body moves swiftly, so the people of the Great Shell Cave simply cannot see him. However, one of them can see him. That is Lord Lu, who has been paying attention to the surroundings of the Purple Demon Tower and anxiously waiting for Lord Tung to appear. Tung Shan has finally appeared. It took him so long to come. Lord Lu becomes excited. He hides in this rockery motionlessly and pays full attention to the Purple Demon Tower, looking forward to seeing what will happen after Lord Tung enters the tower. Times. I may not be a match for Di Jian in a fight, but his spiritual sense is definitely inferior to mine. Lord Tung is very confident because his spiritual sense has already reached the peak of the late Dongshu stage. To be precise, it has reached the threshold of the early Kongming stage. His spiritual sense is stronger than Di Jian's, so this is not nonsense. Moving swiftly, Lord Tung stealthily enters the Purple Demon Tower, according to the secret door Fu Hao told him about. Afterwards, he spreads out his holy sense to cover the entire Purple Demon Tower. Lord Tung immediately discovers his target's location, which is Qin Yu and Di Qing's room. Di Jian, who is in the room to the right of Qin Yu, suddenly opens his eyes. Just now, Di Jian had a hint of fear in his heart, but it disappears slowly in a while. Di Jian does not know what is going on, but he becomes even more cautious, and does not dare to relax in the slightest. Like a gust of wind, Lord Tung arrives at the northern corridor of the second floor of the Purple Demon Tower. His entire body moves without making any sound, or emitting any energy. Lord Tung stopped abruptly. This is the room. Lord Tung looks at Qin Yu's and Di Qing's rooms and his eyes brighten. I must hit Di Qing with one blow and seriously injure him. But I definitely can't kill him. Otherwise, given the temperament of those brothers in the Nine Spirits Hall, they will definitely cause trouble with my Blue Dragon Temple. Lord Tung makes a decision in his mind. His eyes flash with fierceness. Who? The door is opened. A black ray of light shoots directly in with a gust of wind. Di Qing suddenly opens his eyes. Before he can make a sound, the opponent has already attacked him with a punch. However, Di Qing only has enough time to block it with his hand. A muffled bang is heard. Immediately afterwards, the sound of bones shattering is heard. Di Qing's right arm is shattered. At the same time, two of his breastbones are broken. One of them was intentional, while the other was unintentional. One was at the late Dongxi stage, while the other was at the middle Dongxi stage. One attacked with all his strength, and hit the opponent with one blow, seriously injuring him. However, the other blocked the attack hastily. It is impossible for Di Qing not to be seriously injured. Who is it? Immediately, a loud shout is heard from the room on the right. Then the sound of an explosion is heard. A figure directly broke through the walls of the two rooms and rushed in. At this moment, Lord Tung has already rushed to Qin Yu's side and grabbed him. At the same time, he says to Tung Qingshan with the use of the sound transmission technique, "Don't resist. I am here to save you." A hint of a smile appears on the corners of Qin Yu's mouth. He is laughing in his heart. You finally came. Don't resist? Qin Yu will, right? Of course not. He has been waiting for this opportunity. Although Lord Tung said this to Qin Yu through the use of the sound transmission technique, Lord Tung never thought that Qin Yu would be willing to be captured by him. Therefore, Lord Tung used all his strength to grab Di Qing. Qin Yu stretched out his hands and instantly, they turned golden. Qin Yu drew a circle with his hands, and the golden star energy formed the shape of a Tai Chi bang. The star energy and Lord Tung's grab collided. The golden Tai Chi only lasted for a moment before it collapsed. However, Qin Yu immediately uttered a miserable shriek, and was sent flying towards Di Qing powerlessly. At this moment Di Jian, whose face is filled with fury and madness, shouts coldly, "Tung Shan!" Like a fierce tiger coming out of a mountain, Di Jian directly charges at Tung Shan. Tung Shan immediately knows that the situation is bad. He is no match for Di Jian. However, it will also be difficult for Di Jian to catch up with him. Tung Shan. Di Luan reacts even faster than Di Jian. He has already rushed over from another direction, and blocked Tung Shan directly. Facing Di Luan, there is a hint of disdain on Tung Shan's face. With a wave of his hand, he directly sends Di Luan flying downstairs. At the same time, Tung Shan rushes out of the window. Di Qing and Di Luan are seriously injured one after another. At the moment, Di Jian basically has no time to check Di Qing's and Di Luan's injuries. His first choice is to beat back Tung Shan directly. Qin Yu is sent flying powerlessly. Judging from his trajectory, Qin Yu should land next to Di Qing. However, when Qin Yu is about to land on the ground, Qin Yu's body unexpectedly accelerates strangely in the blink of an eye and shoots directly at Di Qing in a straight line. Qin Yu and Di Qing are extremely close to each other in the first place, so Qin Yu's speed reaches its peak in an instant. In addition, Di Qing is seriously injured. Go to hell. Qin Yu's voice enters Di Qing's mind through holy sense communication. The seriously injured Di Qing is greatly alarmed at once. However, at this moment, a short sword suddenly appears in Qin Yu's hand. It is none other than the flaming sword. The flaming sword pierces directly at the place where Tung Shan attacked just now. The purple demon armor here has already been shattered by Tung Shan's attack. Qin Yu's flaming sword is a top-grade holy weapon, and Qin Yu's golden star energy has pierced through it. So the place where Tung Shan attacked is the tip of the sword. In terms of offensive power, It even surpasses that of Tung Shan's previous attack. Pooh! A very soft sound is heard. Qin Yu's flaming sword directly pierces through Di Qing's chest and lung. The flaming sword is as thin as a cicada's wing, so the wound is almost invisible. Seeing Qin Yu's cold eyes, Di Qing is so frightened that he immediately tries to control his yuanying to flee. However, a beam of golden star energy stretches out from the flaming sword and binds Di Qing's yuanying like a golden rope. Spare me, Qin Yu. Spare me. Spare me. My big brother. And the others definitely won't harm you. Spare me. At this moment of life and death, Di Qing says through his holy sense in fright. Too late. In an instant, the tip of the golden rope, which is as sharp as a needle, pierces through Di Qing's yuanying directly. Di Qing's soul is immediately destroyed. Qin Yu, however, collapses powerlessly beside Di Qing, as if he has been seriously injured. Qin Yu does not even take Di Qing's yuanying. Because Qin Yu wants to shift the blame to Tung Shan, energy surges inside Qin Yu's body. Blood immediately spurts out of his mouth. After all, he has to pretend to be seriously injured. Qin Yu lies powerlessly on the ground, his entire face very pale. Suddenly, a figure rushes over. It is none other than Di Luan. At the moment, he is holding a jade bottle in his hand. Second brother, why didn't you take the Jade Dawn pill? By now, Di Luan's injuries seem to have mostly healed. However, when he helps Di Qing up, he suddenly becomes stupefied. His whole body is stupefied. In a split second, an extremely sad and painful roar rises. Second brother. Only now does a drop of blood slowly seep out of the wound left by Di Qing's flaming sword. Chapter 146. Outside the Purple Demon Tower. This Di Jian is really a lunatic. I haven't even caught Qin Yu, yet he's still chasing me. Tung Shan curses furiously in his heart. He simply doesn't care about restraining his aura anymore, and flees extremely fast like a black flash. Di Jian is also extremely furious. No matter what happens, he must teach Tung Shan a good lesson. Lord Lu, who is hiding in the rockery, sees two figures shuttle back and forth in the blink of an eye. That's really wonderful. Lord Lu's plan has succeeded. He immediately rushes towards the Purple Demon Tower as fast as lightning. However, at this moment, Di Luan cries out miserably and painfully. Second brother. Di Jian, who is chasing Tung Shan, hears that cry. His body suddenly stops, and his face turns deathly pale in an instant. Energy surges out from the surface of his entire body. He rushes towards the Purple Demon Tower, even faster than he was chasing Tung Shan. No, that Tung Shan can't be so. Di Jian is still comforting himself in his heart. But when he reaches the window of the second floor of the Purple Demon Tower, he immediately sees Di Jian lying in a corner of the room. At the moment, a pale-faced Qin Yu is being grabbed by a humanoid figure, who rushes out of another room in the blink of an eye. Sixth brother, quickly chase after him. Di Luan, who has been seriously injured again, shouts loudly at once. If Di Qing dies, it will be useless no matter how grieved he is. At the moment, the most important thing is to snatch Qin Yu. Snatch Qin Yu and kill Di Qing. At the moment, Di Jian's heart is filled with resentment. He rushes extremely fast towards that humanoid figure. At first glance, he sees clearly that the person who is grabbing Qin Yu in front of him is a short and fat man. In the entire underwater Shuyao world, only a short and fat man with such a high power level is. Lu Ke, stop, otherwise I'll definitely kill you. Di Jian roars wildly. At the same time, he is obviously faster than Lord Lu Ke. After all, Lu Ke is flying while carrying a person, so naturally his speed has decreased a lot. In just a while, Di Jian is about to catch up with Lu Ke. Blood Toad, let's work together and share Qin Yu. What do you think? Tung Shan's voice was transmitted through his holy sense. Lu Ke is extremely furious in his heart, but seeing Di Jian go berserk at the moment, he reacts very quickly, and immediately says through holy sense communication. You horned dragon, alright, I agree. Let's join hands to defeat Di Jian first. We'll share the secret of the jade sword that Qin Yu knows. Di Jian's eyes turn red. Di Qing was dead. His second brother was dead. For thousands of years, none of the 9 brothers had ever met with an accident. Who would have thought that in such a short period of time, eighth brother had just died, and now second brother had also been killed? Di Jian, get the hell back. Otherwise, prepare to collect your second brother's corpse. Tung Shan appeared beside Lu Ke with a grim expression. At that moment, Lu Ke did not run away. He casually placed a restriction on Qin Yu's body, so that Qin Yu could not move. Lu Ke and Tung Shan are floating side by side in the sea. Opposite them is Di Jian. Hey Tung Shan, you really dared to attack. You actually killed Di Qing. Admirable, admirable. Lu Ke says to Tung Shan. Tung Shan says with a doubtful expression. What are you talking about? Even though I used a heavy hand, I was still confident that I could have killed him. At most, he would have been seriously injured. You also know that the pill concocting skills of the Nine Spirits Hall are famous in the overseas Xiuzhen world. As long as he doesn't die, it'll be absolutely easy for him to recover. You didn't kill him? Just now I saw that Di Qing was killed. You should just admit it. Lu Ke says smilingly. Don't worry. With the master of the Blue Dragon Temple backing you up, what would the Nine Spirits Hall dare to do if you killed Di Qing? Shut up. Di Jian suddenly shouts coldly. At the same time, Di Luan rushes out and looks at Tung Shan with hatred. Lord Tung, Vice Overlord Tung, even though you have an honorable status, my second brother is also a majesty of the Nine Spirits Hall. You killed him, so you've become an enemy of all the brothers of the Nine Spirits Hall. Tung Shan, prepare to die. Di Jian's voice is even colder. Times at the moment Qin Yu, who is sitting on a piece of coral with a restrictive spell on his body, raises his head and watches this scene. Go ahead and make a fuss. Compared to the Qianlong continent, there are indeed many experts in the overseas Xiuzhen world. Xiationists of the Jin Dan stage are nothing at all. Yuanying stage experts can be regarded as experts locally, but in the eyes of the Nine Spirits Hall and other major powers, only Dongshu stage experts are qualified to speak. The five major powers of the overseas Xiuzhen world are the Penglai Immortal Region, the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, the Blue Dragon Temple, the Nine Spirits Hall, and the Blue River Province. Underwater Zuyoists occupy three of these powers. For so many years, the Blue Dragon Temple, the Nine Spirits Hall, and the Blue River Province have maintained a balance with each other. But now Qin Yu wants them to fight each other. Qin Yu's Red Blood Cave must have a higher status. After all, it has been oppressed by the Nine Spirits Hall recently, so let the Nine Spirits Hall and the Blue Dragon Temple fight in the Blue River Province first. The feeling of being a fisherman is very good. Times while Qin Yu is watching the fight on the ground, the three men on the ground are talking fiercely. The Blue Dragon Temple is indeed strong, and the master of the Blue Dragon Temple is the #1 overseas expert. But, you Tung Shan, killed my second brother, so you have to die. Di Jian has already made up his mind to kill the person in front of him. His entire aura has become violent. Di Luan flies backwards. He knows that he is only holding his sixth brother back. Did I really hit him too hard? Tung Shan finds it somewhat hard to believe. Even though he smashed Di Qing's sternum with that punch, Di Qing is a middle Dongshu stage expert after all. How can he die so easily? However, Di Jian's current appearance is obviously not fake. Blood Toad, this Di Jian is really going to attack. Don't worry so much. Let's attack together. Humph. So what if he killed a majesty of the Nine Spirits Hall? Do you think I, the Vice Overlord of the Blue Dragon Temple, can't kill a majesty of the Nine Spirits Hall? Tung Shan's aura has obviously become more overbearing. Alright Tung Shan, I'll fight this purple demon aquatic dragon side by side with you. Lu Ke's body also emits a murderous aura. In the eyes of the Blue Dragon Temple and the people of the Blue River Province, the Nine Spirits Hall is undoubtedly the weakest of the three superpowers. The Blue Dragon Temple and the people of the Blue River Province are supported by top-notch experts, but the Nine Majesties of the Nine Spirits Hall cannot compare with the master of the Blue Dragon Temple and Old Freak Three-Eyed. They only have a few middle Dongshu stage and a few late Dongshu stage experts, and all of them are purple demon aquatic dragons. Growl! Di Jian suddenly growls and immediately transforms into a huge aquatic dragon nearly 100 m long. Its body is completely purple, and the row of purple spikes on its back radiates an ice-cold light. Its two dragon claws immediately reach out to grab Tangshan and Lu Ke. You transformed into your true form right from the start. Tangshan is also enraged. He also raises his head and roars loudly. A horned dragon nearly 100 m long also appears. This horned dragon is a bit thinner than the aquatic dragons, but it is still much thicker than a water bucket. However, the blue and white lines on its body are extremely terrifying. Croak croak. Lu Ke utters a strange croak. In an instant, his entire body transforms into a huge blood-red toad. This toad is 7 or 8 m tall. Its eyes are wide open and blood-red light faintly flashes in them. The purple demon aquatic dragon roars continuously. It attacks with its claws, uses a flying sword in its mouth, attacks with its horn and whips with its tail. The purple demon aquatic dragon even releases restrictive spells to attack. This late Dongxu stage purple demon aquatic dragon is much more powerful than Di Tong. Facing Di Jian's madness, how can Tangshan and Lu Ke possibly show mercy? The horned dragon's claw attack is not weaker than the purple demon aquatic dragon's at all. Its shuttling speed is even a bit faster than the aquatic dragon's. However, in terms of power, it is inferior to the purple demon aquatic dragon. Moreover, the crimson toad is really very formidable and terrifying. Its whole body is filled with blood-red fog. Poison extremely poisonous. Croak croak. The crimson toad utters two strange cries. Its cheeks bulge so much that they are even bigger than its head. It then opens its mouth and shoots out a blood-red flying sword. This flying sword is different from other flying swords. It should be a poisonous sword. The purple demon aquatic dragon fights two opponents by itself. The horned dragon and the crimson toad each attack at close range, while the other attacks with a poisonous fog and a poisonous sword. They fight until the sky is dark and the earth is dark. The whole great shell cave is alarmed. However, nobody dares to approach it. Even though the crimson toad is fighting so fiercely, it still does not forget to set up a protective air shield around Qinyu. If Qinyu, an important person, is killed by the aftermath of the fight between the three experts, it will be very miserable. Growl. Along with a furious roar, a violent purple aura attacks the horned dragon and the crimson toad like a storm. The horned dragon and the crimson toad cannot help flying backwards. In the blink of an eye, they both transform back into their human forms. Tangshan is a bit embarrassed. He says hatefully, I didn't expect Di Jian to be so strong. Crimson Toad, this time we miscalculated. Let's go. Tangshan disregards everything else and flees for his life directly. The Crimson Toad is even more straightforward. It flees away directly, abandoning even Qinyu. Sixth brother. At this moment Diluan rushes over. Di Jian has also transformed back into his human form. However, he is also in a slightly embarrassing state. His whole body is still vibrating with demonic elemental energy, and his face has turned purple. Only after a while does he recover. I'm all right. Di Jian lets out a sigh of relief. He then waves his hand to break the restrictive spell on Qinyu's body. Diluan looks at Qinyu. His eyes are filled with resentment. It's all because of you. If not for you, how could my second brother have died? After saying so, he sends a slap at Qinyu. Qinyu has no choice but to pretend to be seriously injured and try his best to dodge. Slap. The slap that was intended to hit Qinyu's face instead hits Qinyu's head. Don't go too far, Diluan. Otherwise, I won't go to the Nine Spirits Hall with you even if I have to die. Qinyu says while staring at Diluan. Seventh brother, give him a Jade Dawn pill so that he can recover quickly. Diluan knows the severity of the situation, so he throws a medicinal pill to Qinyu. Qinyu also swallows it smilingly. The medicinal pill immediately turns into various clear streams that flow through his body. In the blink of an eye, some of the injuries that Qinyu deliberately inflicted on his body are healed. Even his power is slightly improved. It's said that the medicinal pills of the Nine Spirits Hall are famous in the overseas Xiozhen world. They really live up to their reputation. Qinyu praises. Diluan, however, does not even spare a glance at Qinyu. If Qinyu had not known about the 8th Jade Sword, perhaps Diluan would have tortured Qinyu to death directly. Di Jian looks at the great shell cave with a grim expression. Humph, seventh brother. We've only stayed in this cave for one night, but people from the Blue Dragon Temple and Blue River Province have already arrived. There must be a spy in this cave. It was because of this spy that second brother died. There is a hint of madness in Dilwan's eyes. He looks at the great shell cave. Sixth brother, what do you mean? Kill them all. From the cave master to the guards and servants. Leave no one alive. Di Jian says in an extremely grim voice. Hearing this, Qingyu is startled. Kill them all? Qingyu has long hated Di Qing's group for killing people in his red blood cave. This time, he took the opportunity to kill Di Qing and shift the blame to others. That is why Qingyu acted so decisively. But the people of the Nine Spirits Hall are really too ruthless. The Great Shell Cave has a whole cave full of people. Dilwan Di Jian, this is a cave full of several thousand people. There are only a few spies among them. Even though Qingyu is ruthless, he still can't stand it. Shut up. Di Jian gives Qingyu a cold look. On a bloody night, the whole Great Shell Cave is covered with blood. When Di Jian and Dilwan kill people, they are really too terrifying. The two of them turn into two purple demon aquatic dragons and simply go on a rampage. Nobody in the Great Shell Cave can stop them. Qingyu still remembers Fu Hao's howl before his death. Let's go. From now on, we won't enter any cave. We'll go straight to the Nine Spirits Hall. Dilwan also makes a decision. Qingyu and Dilwan are both on Di Jian's huge flying sword. The three of them are riding on one flying sword. The three of them are even much faster than when they left the Red Blood Cave. In this way, everybody rushes extremely fast towards the Nine Spirits Hall. After this battle, the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province come out from behind the scenes. At the same time, a crack has appeared in the friendly relationship between the Blue Dragon Temple, the Blue River Province and the Nine Spirits Hall. The eighth Jade Sword is the cause of this crack. Di Jian and Dilwan have massacred the people of the Great Shell Cave, causing the other cave masters to become alarmed. Luckily, Di Jian and Dilwan did not stop at all on their way back to the Nine Spirits Hall, so they did not go to any cave. Otherwise, if they had gone there, perhaps the masters of those caves would have been scared witless. Di Qing's death. The Nine Spirits Hall directly asks the Blue Dragon Temple why Tung Shan, Vice Overlord of the Blue Dragon Temple, killed Di Qing. Tung Shan denies it. He only admits that he seriously injured Di Qing. However, after seriously injuring Di Qing with a punch that day, he did not investigate carefully before he went to catch Qingyu. Therefore, Tung Shan himself is not 100% sure that he did not kill Di Qing. Perhaps his demonic elemental energy has broken Di Qing's chest and injured Yuanying or scattered Di Qing's soul. In short, in the past year or so, the entire underwater Shuyao world has been shaken up. At the same time, Qingyu's name has been linked to the eighth Jade Sword and has spread throughout the underwater Shuyao world. Outside the gate of the Nine Spirits Hall, Di Long, Di Su, Di Yang, Di Feng and Di Nai are standing side by side. The five of them have already known through their transmitters that Di Jian and Dilwan are about to come back. After a while, they see Di Jian, Dilwan and Qingyu rushing over by flying swords in the distance. When they arrive in front of the five brothers, Di Jian and Dilwan have nothing but pain on their faces. Sixth brother, seventh brother. The 5D brothers look at Di Jian and Dilwan. Second brother is dead. Di Jian says slowly. The other brother's eyes all redden. Di Qing's death is obviously a huge blow to the remaining 7 brothers of the Nine Spirits Hall. Only after a long time do they recover from their grief. Dilwan looks at Qingyu with some coldness in his eyes. Brothers, this is Qingyu. The 5D brothers also look at Qingyu. In their eyes, both Di Tong's and Di Qing's deaths have something to do with this Qingyu. All of them want to kill Qingyu to vent the hatred in their hearts. Only Di Long is a bit calmer. Chapter 147. The Nine Spirits Hall as a whole is shaped like the 12 capital gates. There are 12 palaces at the 12 formation eyes. Between the 12 palaces there are gardens, courtyards, pavilions and so on. 9 of these 12 palaces belong to the 9 majesties. The other 3 are the Heaven and Earth Palace, the Treasure Storing Palace, and the main hall palace. At the moment, the 7 majesties of the 9 spirits hall and Qinyu are gathered in the main hall. The 7 majesties are sitting in order. Dilong is sitting in the main hall. Qinyu is the only one standing, his black robe fluttering in the wind. Qinyu bows and says, "I am the master of the Red Blood Cave, Qinyu. Greetings, Great Majesty and the other majesties." At the moment, Qinyu faces everybody with a smile. He is neither servile nor overbearing. As the heir of a princely clan, he has seen a lot of things. Even though the 7 majesties of the 9 spirits hall are very powerful, in terms of grandeur, they are not as luxurious as the mortal emperor's Wang clan. After all, no matter how many Ziyuists there are, they can't compare to the number of mortals. "Qinyu, let me ask you, why did my 8th brother die?" Dilong asks from the main hall while looking down at him. Qinyu says smilingly, "Great Majesty, before I tell you about my 8th brother's death, can you let Qinyu briefly tell you about my own story? If you listen to my story, you'll probably know everything." Qinyu says frankly and with assurance. The other majesties below all become a bit impatient. They know this very well. If they directly capture Qinyu and let Guardian Terror Jellyfish devour him, won't they know everything directly? But the only disadvantage of doing this is that they won't be able to confirm whether Guardian Terror Jellyfish is telling the truth or not. "All right, tell me." Dilong is not in a hurry either. Qinyu nods then says, "Back then, after I succeeded in my practice, I left my school with my brother Ho Fei. Afterwards, we wandered all the way to the Blood-Red Ridge where Ziyuists gathered. Sect." Hearing this, the 7 majesties including Dilong all frown, because most Ziyuists practice on their own. Their techniques are also passed on within their clans. Very few of them have a master. When Qinyu mentioned his sect, how could they not be shocked? Qinyu continues, "Later in the Blood-Red Ridge, I got to know Chago through a fight, so I became a protector of the Red Blood Cave. I've asked Master, and Master also thinks that I should train in the Red Blood Cave to improve my ability to deal with human relationships." But later, Qinyu's eyes turned misty, as if he was recalling that day. Dilong and the other majesties all focused their attention. They know that Qinyu has reached the key point. At that time, 8th Majesty and Master Chago had a big fight in the underground secret rooms. In this fight, Chago was killed and 8th Majesty obtained the black jade case that Master Chago spent 100 years to open. Naturally he obtained the 8th jade sword. There should still be jade slips inside, right? Dilong suddenly says, "I don't know. Master didn't tell me whether there were jade slips inside or not." Qinyu answers naturally, but later on, a mysterious man suddenly appeared and directly mounted a sneak attack on 8th Majesty. That sneak attacker's power was higher than 8th Majesty's. Because of this sneak attack, 8th Majesty was killed on the spot. "Damn it! Bastard!" The other majesties in the main hall immediately begin to curse. Dilong, however, has a calm expression. He asks closely, "Qinyu, you're talking as if you saw it with your own eyes. How did you know?" "Master told me." Qinyu answers smilingly. Dilong continues to ask, "Then how did your master know? If your master's holy sense was so outstanding that he could even discover what had happened, why didn't he kill that mysterious man and seize the 8th jade sword? Master's magical power is outstanding, so why would he care about that 8th jade sword?" He already knew about the legend of the 9 swords. When his holy sense discovered that black jade case, he already guessed everything. Master studies the way of heaven and is extremely proud and aloof. It's the mysterious man's fate to snatch it away. Qinyu suddenly sighs. "Alas, I also didn't know about it during the big fight. If I had known about it in advance, I would have asked Master for help. Perhaps 8th Majesty would have been able to save his life. Even though Master is eccentric, he still cares about me, his only disciple, very much." Dilong nods. Suddenly, 6th brother, you personally escort Qinyu into the Qingquan Palace and trap him in room 1 for the time being. Dilong unexpectedly orders Di Jian to imprison Qinyu in a room in the Qingquan Palace. Qinyu does not resist. 6th Majesty, there's no need to use force. I'll go with you. Given your power, why are you worried that I'll run away?" Seeing that Di Jian is reaching out to grab his hands, Qin Yu immediately says, "Fine." Di Jian is very confident in himself. He directly leads Qin Yu out of the main hall in this way, and walks towards the Qingquan Palace. Qin Yu does not know that the Qingquan Palace is actually a prison. Moreover, it is a prison used to imprison important criminals. The guards in each room of the Qingquan Palace are all extremely loyal guards of the Nine Spirits Hall. If they are imprisoned here, it will be very difficult for them to escape. Qin Yu and Di Jian walk side by side on the bluestone road, which is embedded in the ground, heading straight ahead. "Sixth Majesty, you're imprisoning me because you're worried that I'll run away. But I wonder why you've captured me this time. I've already said what I should have said just now. If you're going to let me go at any time, please let me know in advance." Qin Yu greets Di Jian enthusiastically. Di Jian's face is cold and callous. In Di Jian's heart, Qin Yu is already a dead man. Let go. Once the tortoise awakening guardian devours Qin Yu, then even Qin Yu's fleshly body would be gone. This palace is called the Treasure Vault. Could there be a lot of treasures here? Qin Yu looks outside the palace and sees that there aren't that many guards. If this is really the Treasure Vault, and there are great treasures hidden here, why are there so few guards? Di Jian opens his mouth in a rare moment and says, "This treasure vault is where the great treasures of the Nine Spirits Hall's 12 palaces are kept. But we are not afraid of people coming to steal them." "Oh, why is that?" Qin Yu is curious. Di Jian's words are filled with arrogance. "Do you know what is the most powerful thing in the Nine Spirits Hall?" "Elixirs." Qin Yu immediately answers. Di Jian's face then shows a smile. "You must know that when it comes to refining weapons and refining elixirs, demon cultivators are not as good as humans. But the skills of our Nine Spirits Hall in refining elixirs are comparable to those of the most elite cultivator sects in refining weapons. And the reason is because of this treasure vault." Qin Yu is all ears. In the treasure vault, generally good quality crystals used to refine spirit weapons are precious. To experts of our level, only top-grade spirit weapons are attractive, but top-grade crystals are extremely hard to come by. To store top-grade crystals, storage bracelets and space rings are enough. Why would we need the treasure vault? Speaking of the Nine Spirits Hall's proudest achievement, Di Jian could not hide the excitement on his face. The treasure vault is built through restrictive spells, spirit gathering arrays, high-grade essence gathering arrays, or all kinds of wonderful arrays, to absorb the appropriate amount of heaven and earth's essence gathering arrays and sunlight. The 8 large open spaces in the treasure vault are planted with various kinds of spirit mushrooms and immortal herbs. To refine spirit elixirs, the ingredients are the hardest to find. A single spirit elixir may require several tins of ingredients. How can it be so easy to gather all of them in such a vast ocean? Therefore, my brother and I have tried our best to collect various kinds of spirit mushrooms and immortal herbs before planting them. Hearing this, Qin Yu cannot help praising in his heart. Planting? The growing environment of spirit mushrooms and immortal herbs is very important. Some need to grow in hot places, some need to grow in cold places, some need to grow in dry places, and some need to grow in shady places. Planting spirit mushrooms and immortal herbs on a large scale is not an easy task. There is one more thing: patience. Spirit mushrooms and immortal herbs generally take a long time to grow. Of course, there are also some that take a short time, such as a few months, but some that take a long time can even take hundreds or thousands of years. Some legendary treasures of heaven and earth can grow for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. After planting them, one has to wait patiently. To make ordinary people wait for several tens, or even hundreds of years, this kind of patience is also praiseworthy. You've already tasted the Jade Dawn pill. It's a special elixir of my Ninth Spirits Hall. It's made from some of the ingredients in Treasure Storing Palace. Di Jian's face suddenly turns cold as he shouts at Qin Yu, "Don't ask so many questions. Come with me." After saying so, Di Jian speeds up his pace and rushes towards another palace. Qin Yu laughs secretly. "Me? Ask. Isn't it because you got addicted to talking just now and said so much in one breath? But this treasure storing palace is really good stuff. Sixth Majesty, The spirit mushrooms in treasure-storing palace are so precious, but why are there so few guards? Qin Yu asks the question that has been on his mind since the beginning. Di Jian says with a cold laugh, "Who would dare to steal? There are 8 open spaces for planting, and all of them are protected by restrictive spells. As soon as someone touches those restrictive spells, all of us brothers will know. Moreover, what's the point of having so many guards? Some guards are enough." Qin Yu understands clearly in his heart, so he does not ask anymore. After a while, Qin Yu and Di Jian arrive at the Qingquan Palace, which is outside a huge palace. The 12 palaces of the 9th Spirit's Hall are all about the same size. Each of them is 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers long. If mortals were to build such huge palaces, it would take countless people and years to build them. However, Ziyuists can build them very easily. 6th Majesty. The guard at the entrance of the Qingquan Palace kneels down on one knee and says. Di Jian nods, then leads Qin Yu directly into the Qingquan Palace. As soon as he enters the Qingquan bag, Qin Yu feels as if he has lost his sense of direction. There are only 8 directions, namely Qin Li, Dui, Zhen Sun, Qian Kuan, and General Di Jian enters the Qin direction and goes straight to the cell marked Qin 1. The cell is very oppressive. It is entirely made of some kind of black stone. Apart from the cell door, there is also a window, which makes the cell a little bit brighter. "Open it," Di Jian shouts at the guard of the Qin 1 cell. The guard is startled. He hurriedly performs a secret art to open the cell. Di Jian then looks at Qin Yu. Qin Yu walks into the cell with a smile. The guard hurriedly performs another secret art to close the cell. Good heavens, the entire Qingquan Palace is a huge formation. Every cell is surrounded by a restrictive spell. Even if I can smash these black stones, I won't be able to break the restrictive spell. Qin Yu's holy sense can clearly sense the defensive power of the restrictive spell, and knows that he will not be able to break it. As for the window, even though it looks like nothing, if he reaches out his hand, he will find that there is a transparent restrictive spell there. Qin Yu, just stay here quietly. After saying so, Di Jian immediately turns around and leaves. There were a total of 8 cells in the direction of Kansas. They were divided into Qin 1, Qin 2, and Qin 8. Among them, Qin 1 held the most important prisoners. Qin is the head of the 8 positions of Qin Li Dui, Zhen Sun, Qian Kuan, and Zhen. Qin 1 represents the most important cell in the Qingquan bag. Who is this guy? He was unexpectedly imprisoned in Qin 1. Who knows? He must be some formidable expert. Anyway, it doesn't matter to us. These guards also start to chat with each other and make guesses about the identity of the person who can be imprisoned in the most important cell. In the main hall, Di Jian has just returned. Go ask Protector Terror Jellyfish. Di Long gives an order. As soon as he gives it, everybody knows his intention. He will directly ask Protector Terror Jellyfish to devour Qin Yu first. Big brother, according to what this Qin Yu said, his master seems to be very outstanding. If he's really so formidable, if we kill this Qin Yu, and his master gets angry, and comes to our 9 Spirits Hall. Di Yang, the 3rd brother, says worriedly. Di Long says smilingly, 3rd brother, you've been scared by that brat. As he said, his master is an expert. In the entire overseas Xiozhen world, apart from old freak 3-eyed, and the master of the Blue Dragon Temple, who else can be so powerful? Not necessarily. Big brother, don't tell me you don't know the legend? There's an ancient teleportation formation in the southernmost area, close to the chaotic astral ocean. Di Yang reminds him. Di Long says smilingly. You said his master came from that place? Di Yang nods. The other majesties all become solemn. If his master really came from that place, things will become a bit complicated. You're really too cowardly. Just because someone brags about how formidable his master is, you believe him? Later on, will our 9 Spirits Hall still be able to kill people? Moreover, haven't you carefully studied what Qin Yu said just now? The other majesties all look at Di Long. Di Long says at once that Qin Yu said his master's divine power was so formidable that he didn't even spare the 9 Swords Immortal sect a glance. Humph! The 9 Swords Immortal mansion was left behind by an immortal. Perhaps even the people of that place would go crazy for it. But that master didn't even spare it a glance. That's really too exaggerated. Also, hearing the first point, these majesties also believe Di Long. Right? Is there anyone in the Xiuzhen world who doesn't spare the immortal mansion a glance? In the end, Qinyu said, even though his master is eccentric, he still cares about me, his only disciple, very much. Why did Qinyu say this? He wants us to know that his master, a super expert who didn't exist, cares about him very much, and wants us to be afraid of him. Sure enough, third brother, you've been scared stiff. Di Long's face changes color. If his master was really a super expert, how could he have let us capture his disciple so easily? He didn't even spare the 9 Swords immortal mansion a glance. I don't believe there's such an expert in the Xiuzhen world. All right, third brother. Send an order to summon Tortoise Awakening. Di Yang says at once. Don't worry, big brother. Humph. Just now I was really scared stiff by this brat. But this time he definitely won't be able to escape. Once Tortoise Awakening devours him, not only his soul will be destroyed, but also his physical body will be destroyed. Immediately, Di Yang goes to summon Tortoise Awakening. Chapter 148. Tortoise Awakening Protector. Di Yang walked to the outside of Protector Jingzha's residence, and transmitted his voice with his spiritual sense. Protector Jingzha, I'm the third prince. Come out quickly, and follow me to the main hall. My eldest brother, and the others have something important for you to do. After a short while, a tall and thin man walked out. This expert was none other than Protector Jingzha. His face had a green and yellow mark. When Protector Jingzha saw Di Yang, he immediately bowed and said, Third Prince. Come with me. Di Yang and Protector Jingzha walked towards the hall together. A guard beside Protector Jingzha's residence suddenly took out a transmission talisman and sent a message. On the surface of the sea, there was a vast expanse. There was an island that was thousands of miles long and wide. However, this island was filled with black stones. Although there were plants, they were very rare. Therefore, there were no immortal cultivation sects here. At the edge of the island, Tung Shan and Lu Ke stood side by side. All of a sudden, Lu Ke took out the communication token and scanned it with his spiritual sense. After which, he smiled at Tung Shan and said, Tung Shan, as I expected, the 9 Spirits Hall wants the awakening jellyfish to directly devour Qinyu and obtain his memories. Tung Shan nodded and said, I know. My men have already sent a message. That Qinyu is locked up in Kinwan prison cell. Kinwan? This is such an important prison cell. My men are not the guards of this cell. Lu Ke shook his head. Tung Shan smiled. Your men don't have any, and neither do mine. However, my men are the guards of Kin2. Tung Shan took out a communication token and sent a message. Universal Palace. Outside Kinwan prison cell. Brother Wang. The Can2 guard greeted the Kinwan guard. Guarding this place every day is really boring. Brother Yen. What's that in your hand? Wang Huai's eyes lit up as he looked at the crystal in Yen Zai's hand. With Wang Huai's eyesight, he could tell that this crystal was a high-grade crystal. Yen Zai said proudly, How is it, Brother Wang? Brother, my crystals are not bad, right? When we go back, I'll ask someone to refine a high-grade spirit weapon. Wang Huai said enviously, Top-grade crystals. Mine is only a middle-grade spirit weapon now. I don't know when I will. You. Don't make a sound or I'll kill you. Yen Zai's short sword had already pierced through Wang Huai's chest muscles. Yen Zai's strength was truly exquisite. It pierced through Wang Huai's muscles, but didn't harm his heart or any other vital points. However, if Yen Zai's short sword were to extend a little more, then Wang Huai, who had just reached the late stage of Jin Dan, would definitely die. Brother Wang, what are you trying to do? Wang Huai asked in horror through his holy sense. Now that Yen Zai's dagger had already pierced into his flesh, Wang Huai had no way of blocking it. After all, protective demonic elemental energy was usually formed outside the body, so it was difficult to block it inside the body. Moreover, Wang Huai also knew that Yen Zai was not weaker than him. Nothing. Open the door to your cell. Faced with a choice between life and death, Wang Huai finally cast a spell and opened the prison door. This prison door was a type of sliding door. Wang Huai cast the corresponding spell, and the prison door immediately merged with the wall. Qin Yu, who was sitting cross-legged in his cell, saw that the two guards were actually so close to each other outside the window. He didn't know what they were doing. Suddenly the guard Wang Huai cast a spell with both hands and actually opened the prison door. Lord Qin Yu, my lord is Tung Shan, the Vice Palace Lord of the Blue Dragon Temple. He ordered me to save you. After you leave the Universal Palace, fly out of the sea and head southwest. There is a black rock island about 200,000 miles away. My lord and Lord Lu of the Blue River Province are there. The people of the Nine Spirits Hall definitely won't be able to harm you. Yan Zhe's voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind almost at the instant the door was opened. 200,000 miles? Blue Dragon Temple, Blue River Province? Qin Yu smiled. His body immediately turned into a golden light and left the cell. In an instant, he disappeared from the Universal Palace. His speed was so fast that Yan Zhe and Wang Huai couldn't see his body clearly. Yan Zhe instantly pierced Wang Huai's heart. Wang Huai's eyes widened. He died in disbelief. There were a total of 8 cells in the Qin position. There were only 3 guards corresponding to Qin 1, Qin 2, and Qin 3. After all, it would be a waste of manpower to assign a guard to each cell. Only the 3 most important cells were assigned guards. The 3 lives guards knew the method to open the other 5 prison cells. When the guard of Qin 3 saw the door of Qin 1 open, Yan Zhe looked at him coldly. The guard of Qin 3 said obediently, "Big brother Yan, I'm not your opponent. I definitely won't tell on you. Please spare me." When the guard said that, a transmission talisman appeared in his hand behind his back. Yan Zhe smiled and nodded. He suddenly waved his sleeve. A green light covered the guard like a fishing net. When the green light covered the guard's body instantly turned into pus, and then turned into mist. I should also leave. Otherwise, the enraged lords will definitely kill me. Qin Yu, however, did not run away immediately. Given his power, apart from the lords, nobody else was able to discover him. Qin Yu was especially confident in his speed. Even if he was compared with Di Jian and Di Long, Qin Yu would still be able to beat him. What's the hurry? Isn't their treasure-storing palace very precious? Qin Yu quietly moved closer to treasure-storing palace. Lei Mountain House had both a weapon-forging room and a pill-concocting room. However, the pill-concocting room had not been used yet, because Qin Yu did not have enough materials. After all, pill concocting required an extremely large amount of materials. After a while, Qin Yu arrived at a corner of treasure-storing palace. Looking at this huge treasure-storing palace, which is 1 kilometer in both length and width, Qin Yu was very confident. This was because Qin Yu had the Dreamland Ring, left behind by Lei Wei. This interspatial ring was superior to the so-called number 1 interspatial ring in the Xiuzhen world. The interspatial ring Qin Yu obtained after killing Di Tong was only 100 m in length and width. At least in the overseas Xiuzhen world, no such interspatial ring could contain such a huge treasure-storing palace. You Majesties can have a chat in the main hall. I'm going to take treasure-storing palace away first. Qin Yu grasps the wall of treasure-storing palace with one hand and immediately has an idea. However, the surroundings of treasure-storing palace suddenly flash. Qin Yu's face changes color at once. No good. This treasure-storing palace unexpectedly has an 8 trigrams formation. With this formation suppressing it, how can I take this treasure-storing palace away? Qin Yu immediately spreads his golden stellar energy to surround the entire treasure-storing palace. Treasure-storing palace itself is an 8 trigrams formation, so its foundation is also an 8 trigrams formation. In the main hall, the 7 Majesties have just summoned Protector Tortoise Awakening. Protector Tortoise Awakening, you don't need to worry. We'll restrain Qin Yu directly. You can just devour him directly. But you have to take away all of his memories. First Majesty Di Long entrusts Protector Tortoise Awakening. Protector Tortoise Awakening immediately says, no good. Someone's breaking the foundation of 9 Spirits Hall. Di Long's face changes color. He immediately sweeps with his spiritual sense then shouts, Someone's breaking the 8 trigrams formation at treasure storing palace. Brothers, quickly follow me. After saying that, Di Long has already gone out of the main hall. Di Yang, Di Su, Di Feng, Di Jian, Di Luan and Di Nai, the 6 majesties, immediately rush towards treasure storing palace. Treasure storing palace is the most important palace among the 12 palaces of the 9 spirits hall. If the other palaces are destroyed, they can be rebuilt. But treasure storing palace is precious not because of its architecture, but because of the elixirs inside. Those elixirs were seized by the 9 spirits hall through trickery, and they have been constantly searching for them within a radius of 90 million li. Break. Holding the flaming sword in his hand, Qin Yu brazenly thrusts it at the base of the formation at the Kim position. With a flash of blue light, Qin Yu directly breaks the restriction, and then pierces the stone pillar at the base of the formation. This Kim position has been broken. Qin Yu's figure is like a golden ray of light, as he rushes towards the Li position at top speed. The power of the golden stars is completely channeled into the flaming sword. The supreme-grade spirit weapon flaming sword directly breaks the protective restriction, and then shatters the stone pillar buried deep below. Qin Yu's figure moves again, rushing towards the next DUI position. The strange movements in treasure storing palace must have attracted those majesties. I must speed up. Qin Yu has reached his maximum speed at the moment. Although he is fast, the 7 majesties who are worried about the safety of treasure storing palace are not slow either. After Qin Yu destroyed the 4 bases of the formation, the 7 majesties have rushed to treasure storing palace. Stop him! Although Di Long does not know why the enemy has broken the 8 trigrams formation. From Di Long's point of view, such a huge palace like treasure storing palace cannot be stored in a space ring all at once. But since the enemy has done so, he must have his reasons. What Di Long needs to do is to stop the enemy. Di Yang, Di Su, Di Feng, Di Jian, Di Luan and Di Nai immediately turn into 6 rays of light and chase after that golden ray of light. The 6 of them surround one person. However, Qin Yu's figure flashes, and he easily flashes past Di Yang. He then makes another sword move, and directly breaks the sun position. Qin Yu, it's you! Di Long notices Qin Yu's appearance at once, and becomes furious at once. He does not know why Qin Yu, who has been trapped in Selkin 1, has appeared here, and is even destroying the 8 trigrams formation. Di Long has no time to think so much. He immediately charges at Qin Yu. Humph, stop me? My power is inferior to yours, but my speed. With a faint smile on the corners of his mouth, Qin Yu easily flashes past Di Long. Di Long's face is filled with disbelief. Afterwards, Qin Yu makes another sword move, and directly breaks the Qian position. By now Qin Yu has already broken 6 bases of the formation. His speed is unexpectedly so fast. Di Long finally knows why the old turtle Qing Xian, who was killed by Qin Yu in the news, was unable to resist even one sword move from Qin Yu. Judging from what happened just now, Qin Yu's speed is much faster than his. Haha, stop me? In your dreams. Qin Yu breaks the Kuan position with another sword move. Qin Yu's strange body maneuvering and terrifying speed make the several majesties who are surrounding him extremely furious. Suddenly, 9th Majesty Di Nai is standing at the last gen position. He laughs out loud and says, "Big brother, as long as I'm standing at the base of the formation, no matter how mysterious his body maneuvering is or how fast he is, he'll still have to fight me head on." The other majesties all look delighted. Qin Yu, however, stops his body maneuvering. 9th Majesty is really smart, but in the blink of an eye, Qin Yu reaches his maximum speed from standing still. His terrifying speed even gives rise to terrifying sonic booms. Holding the flaming sword in his hand, Qin Yu flashes past a majesty, and then slashes at 9th Majesty Di Nai without hesitation. Di Nai is at the middle Dongxi stage. In a real fight, he is equal to Qin Yu. However, at the moment he is in his human form instead of his true form. Peng! Di Nai's battle saber and Qin Yu's short sword collide head-on. Qin Yu's flaming sword unexpectedly flies out of his hand in the blink of an eye and falls down. Qin Yu himself then punches at Di Nai. Qin Yu is wearing flaming gloves on his fists, which are completely pierced through by the golden star power. Competing with fists, demonic beasts like Deni who have strong bodies naturally like this. Ha! Deni suddenly shouts violently and punches at Qin Yu's fist with his right fist. However, in an instant, he feels a severe pain in his right hand. Deni hurriedly draws back. He cannot help feeling shocked by Qin Yu's fist. However, at the moment, the flaming sword follows Qin Yu's will and stabs into the ground. Pung! A flying sword has unexpectedly blocked Qin Yu's flaming sword. Di Long rushes over from the distance. The other 6 majesties also rush over. Qin Yu has no time to think too much. He controls the flaming sword to block Di Long's flying sword, then punches down at the stone pillar below with his fist. Deni, who is the closest to Qin Yu, also punches at Qin Yu's head. If Qin Yu wants to smash the stone pillar, his head will be smashed by Deni. Ha! Qin Yu clenches his teeth and suddenly crawls towards the ground. At the same time, he twists his entire body. Deni's punch smashes heavily on Qin Yu's shoulder. At once, his bones are broken and blood is dripping. However, Qin Yu's other hand has already smashed the stone pillar. The bases of Qin Li Dui, Zhen Sun, Qian Kuan and Zhen formations are all broken. Qin Yu's shoulder bones are completely exposed. Waves of pain are transmitted to his brain. Qin Yu bears the severe pain. His whole body shakes to dodge 3 majesties in succession, then touches treasure-storing palace. Withdraw! Qin Yu suddenly shouts loudly. Qin Yu's loud shout resounds through the entire 9 demons hall. At the same time, the air vibrates for a while, and that huge treasure-storing palace disappears in the blink of an eye. Di Long and the others, who still have a bit of hope, see the empty ground. A moment ago, this place was the most precious treasure-storing palace in their 9 spirits hall. Now they finally know that Qin Yu indeed has a spatial ring that can store the treasure-storing palace. Haha, you 7 little worms, come and chase me if you have the ability. Qin Yu's loud laughter resounds through the 9 spirits hall. Stepping on the flaming sword, he rushes at his fastest speed towards the Black Rock Island provided by the Blue Dragon Temple and Blue River Province. Chase, chase, chase! Di Long roars furiously. The other 6 majesties of the 9 spirits hall also raise their heads and roar furiously. Afterwards, the 7 majesties instantly transform into 7 100m long purple demon aquatic dragons. The 7 aquatic dragons swing their tails and chase after Qin Yu as fast as lightning. Chapter 149. Qin Yu stands on his flying sword. Like a golden beam of light, he pierces through the water and flies straight towards the southwest. Blue Dragon Temple, Blue River Province. You've really made a good plan, but Qin Yu's eyes glitter with wisdom as he stands on his flying sword. I'm not as anxious to seek safety as you think. Since that's the case, let's make the scene even bigger. Originally, when Qin Yu stands on his flying sword and becomes one with it, his speed reaches its peak. Even Di Long, who is the fastest of the 7 surviving majesties of the 9 spirits hall, is far inferior to him. He is at least 30 to 40% slower than him. However, at the moment Qin Yu is unexpectedly only a bit faster than Di Long. Of course, this is Qin Yu doing it on purpose. The 7 furious purple demon aquatic dragons are shuttling back and forth at the bottom of the sea at an astonishingly fast speed. At the moment, Di Long and Di Jian do not wait for their brothers. Di Long and Di Jian, who are the most powerful among them, fly ahead of them and follow closely behind Qin Yu. Behind them are the 3 brothers Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai. All 3 of them are at the middle Dongshu stage, so their speed is almost the same. The last 2 purple demon aquatic dragons are Di Luan and Di Feng. They are at the early Dongshu stage, and are the weakest among them. 7 little worms are really persistent. I wonder what Tingshan and Lu Ke's expressions will be when they see the 7 little worms following me when I reach that Black Rock Island. There is a faint smile on the corners of Qin Yu's eyes as he shuttles extremely fast at the bottom of the sea. Many furious roars rise from behind him. In the past, Di Tong's death and the 8th Jade Sword were both related to Qin Yu, so how can these 7 brothers possibly let him off? What angers them the most is that Qin Yu has unexpectedly taken away the most important treasure-storing palace of the Nine Spirits Hall. Their dragon eyes, which are emitting terrifying rays of light, pierce through the water. However, their ice-cold scales do not encounter any resistance at all. Their sharp claws cause the water to roar even more violently. Haha, 7 little worms, if you have the ability, then follow me. Qin Yu's loud shouts resound through several hundred li of the Nine Demons' Hall. Hearing this, the 7 Nine Demons' Hall brothers become even more furious. At this moment, Qin Yu unexpectedly flies straight up into the sky while laughing out loud. In just a moment, he has broken through the surface of the ocean and reached the sky above it. Qin Yu looked at the blue sky and the white clouds. He felt carefree. Qin Yu hadn't been on the surface of the sea for a long time. Qin Yu, don't even think about escaping. A series of rumbling sounds could be heard. Hey, this purple demon flood dragon can still speak human language when it's in its original form? Qin Yu felt very strange. As far as he knew, animals' throats were not suitable for human speech. How did this purple demon flood dragon speak? Qin Yu doesn't know that there is a unique skill called ventriloquism in the underwater world of Zooists. This skill is launched by using demonic elemental energy. It doesn't matter whether the demonic elemental energy is vigorous or not. The only difference is that it is very skillful, and very few Zooists know this unique skill. Voila la, in the blink of an eye, the waves roll up 10-odd meters. 2 huge purple demon flood dragons, each as thick as a water tank, and over 100 m long, break out of the water almost at the same time. Their glaring eyes are filled with endless fury and killing intent. Their purple scales are still covered with water droplets. Under the sunlight they glitter. Flood dragons going out of the sea is indeed a spectacular scene. Qin Yu himself flies straight towards the west like a golden Lu Xing. Those 7 purple demon flood dragons follow him closely and fly non-stop. Bursts of furious roars rise one after another. Flying out of the sea, the flood dragon's speed is somewhat reduced. For Qin Yu, flying in the air is more suitable for him. However, Qin Yu wants to lead these 6 purple demon flood dragons to the Black Rock Island, so he is not in a hurry at all. Jinshan Island was a relatively common immortal island in the overseas Xiuzhen world. It was not very big, only about 1,000 li in both length and width. There was a school on Jinshan Island called Jinshan School. It was also because of the Jinshan School that this island was called Jinshan Island. At the moment, several tens disciples of the Jinshan School are riding their flying swords on the island. Marshall, younger brother, this is your first time riding a flying sword, so you have to be a bit careful. Don't fly too high. A big man with a stocky build says to a green-clad young man. This young man has delicate features like a girl. Yes, Marshall, older brother. The green-clad young man tries hard to calm down his excitement, then controls the flying sword, and jumps up directly. The green-clad young man is swaying unsteadily. He does not dare to fly too fast or too high. That Marshall, older brother is also watching him on one side, constantly reminding him of the flying technique. After a while, the green-clad middle-aged man finally stabilizes a bit. Suddenly, whiz! A golden Lu Xing streaks across the sky directly over Jinshan Island. The strong wind it creates causes the trees on the island to bend. Being blown by the strong wind, that green-clad young man immediately cries out in fear. His body leans to one side, and unexpectedly is about to fall down. The green-clad young man reacts very quickly. He immediately controls the flying sword again, and finally stands firm again. However, at this moment, growl growl, dragon roars that cause the complexions of all the Zayashinists on Jinshan Island to change dramatically are heard unceasingly in the sky above Jinshan Island. 2 over 100 m long purple demon aquatic dragons directly fly across the sky and chase after that golden Lu Xing. In a short while 3 more purple demon aquatic dragons appear, and then 2 more. 7 purple demon aquatic dragons appear in the sky in succession. The Xiaxianists on Jinshan Island are so scared that their faces turn pale. By now, the headmaster of the Jinshan school has already come out. Seeing that golden Lu Xing, and the 7 purple demon aquatic dragons in the distance, his eyes are filled with fright. Headmaster Marshall, older brother, don't tell me this is? An old man on one side is also astonished. The headmaster says with a solemn expression, "Yes, they are purple demon aquatic dragons. In the underwater Xiuyao world, there are only those 9 experts of the 9 spirits hall. Each of them is at the Dongxu stage. They are so powerful that perhaps even Kongming stage experts won't be able to do anything to them. 7 experts of the 9 spirits hall have come out all of a sudden to chase after that golden Lu Xing. What about that fellow Xiaoxianist?" The headmaster mutters to himself. After all, the 9 spirits hall is a powerful influence that can compete with the Penglai immortal region. Their Jinshan school's #1 expert is only at the late Yuanying stage, so he simply cannot compare with a power like the 9 spirits hall. Late Dongxu stage Di Jian and Di Long can definitely compare with Kongming stage Xiaoxianists. Stop looking, all of you. Super experts of that level are beyond your imagination. All of you should calm down and practice hard. The headmaster of the Jinshan school shouts at his disciples. Compared with those experts, an ordinary school like the Jinshan school is simply nothing. While flying, Qinyu has been enduring severe pain in his shoulder all the time. His shoulder was hit by Dinai's punch, and flesh was separated from his shoulder, and more than half of his bones were shattered. How can such a serious injury not cause him heart-piercing pain? However, there is always a faint smile on Qinyu's face. It's just that the corners of his eyes sometimes tremble slightly. After flying for almost half a day, Qinyu finally sees the Black Rock Island in the distance. At the moment, there are only some faintly visible scars on Qinyu's shoulder. Tung Shan, his blood-red robe fluttering in the wind, is standing on a reef with a grim face. Seeing Qinyu, who looks like a golden Lu Xing, flying towards him, a faint smile immediately appears on his face. Lu Ke, who is standing next to him, is also looking at Qinyu in the distance. "Brother Qinyu," Tung Shan says loudly, "Lord Tung, Lord Lu, I was injured by these 7 little insects. Please save me," Qinyu shouts while holding his shoulder. At the same time, he flies directly into the Black Rock Island and stands behind Tung Shan and Lu Ke. At the same time, Qinyu takes out his transmitter. "Fei, I'm on an island over 200,000 li southwest of the 9 spirits hall on the ocean surface. The island is covered with black rocks. Come here quickly." "Kaka, I'll be there soon." After sending the message to Ho Fei, Qinyu is relaxed as he watches how Tung Shan and Lu Ke are going to deal with the 7 furious majesties of the 9 spirits hall. Seeing the 7 purple demon aquatic dragons flying towards them, Tung Shan and Lu Ke can't help but smile bitterly. "Stop," Tung Shan and Lu Ke say at the same time. Tung Shan represents the Blue Dragon Temple, and Lu Ke represents the Blue River Province. Even Di Long doesn't dare to pretend that he didn't hear them. After all, in terms of actual strength, the 9 Spirits Hall is slightly weaker than the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province. With a flash of light, the 7 aquatic dragons instantly transform into 7 big men in purple robes. The one in the lead is Di Long, Tung Shan, Lu Ke. "What's the meaning of this?" Di Long immediately shouts at Tung Shan and Lu Ke. The 6 brothers behind Di Long also have angry looks on their faces. At this moment, they must capture Qinyu no matter what, but Tung Shan and Lu Ke are standing in their way. Tung Shan coughs and says, "Di Long, don't be angry. This Qinyu doesn't seem to have any big grudges against the 9 Spirits Hall. Di Tong's death might not necessarily be related to Qinyu. Since this is the case, Your Majesty Di Long, please give the Blue Dragon Temple some face and let Qinyu go." Lu Ke also says, "Di Long, the Blue River Province." "Shut up," Di Long shouts violently all of a sudden. At the moment, the muscles on his face are trembling and his eyes glitter with coldness. Obviously he is extremely furious. "No grudges? What do you know? That Qinyu unexpectedly robbed the treasure-storing palace of the 9 Spirits Hall." "Isn't it just the treasure-storing palace?" "The treasure-storing palace? What did you say?" Lu Ke's face changes color as well. The only place in the 9 Spirits Hall that the other 4 superpowers of the overseas Xiozhen world covets is the treasure-storing palace. "You must be joking, Your Majesty Di Long. Who doesn't know how big that treasure-storing palace is? As far as I know, The overseas Xiozhen world doesn't seem to have a space ring big enough to hold the treasure-storing palace. If you want to move it here empty-handed, let alone the terrifying power required, just look at how Qin Yu flew here empty-handed. He didn't rob your treasure-storing palace, did he? Says Tingshan. Di Jian says coldly. If you don't believe me, you can ask Qin Yu himself whether the Nine Spirits Hall's treasure-storing palace was robbed by him or not. That's impossible. Even though Lu Ke says it's impossible, he still looks at Qin Yu behind him. Brother Qin Yu, just say it. Don't be afraid of being slandered by the Nine Spirits Hall. The Blue River Province and the Blue Dragon Temple will support you. Lu Ke says heroically. A faint embarrassed smile appears on Qin Yu's face. Tung Shan says in disbelief. You don't really have a space ring big enough to hold the treasure-storing palace, do you? Di Long, Di Jian and the other 5 brothers all look at Qin Yu coldly. This indeed, I did rob his treasure-storing palace. Qin Yu admits in the end. Tung Shan and Lu Ke look at Qin Yu with their eyes wide open. Some guardians of the Blue Dragon Temple behind Tung Shan and the guardians of the Blue River Province behind Lu Ke also look at Qin Yu in astonishment. Rob the Nine Spirits Hall's treasure-storing palace. This miraculous deed alone is enough to spread Qin Yu's name throughout the entire overseas Xiozhen world. Di Long. Qin Yu suddenly looks at Di Long with an angry expression and shouts. You said I robbed your treasure-storing palace. I admit it. Then let me ask you. Were you going to let that tortoise awakening protector devour me directly and rob my memories? Do you dare to tell me the truth? Di Long frowns but he still says resolutely. Yes, I admit it. Qin Yu's face is ice cold and full of killing intent. Humph, you wanted to kill me and even rob my memories. If I didn't have a wonderful way of escaping, perhaps I would have lost my life by now. I spent nearly a year following the 3 majesties from the Red Blood Cave to the Nine Spirits Hall, and never ran away. I was so loyal to you, your majesty, but how did you treat me? You wanted to kill me. You wanted to kill me, so what if I robbed your treasure-storing palace? Qin Yu's anger soars to the sky. Even though the treasure-storing palace is precious, it's just a worldly possession. It's nothing compared to my life. You wanted to kill me, so shouldn't I rob your treasure-storing palace? Who are you? Di Long looks disdainfully at Qin Yu out of the corner of his eyes. You're nothing but the master of the Red Blood Cave. It's already a great honor for you that I wanted to kill you. Not only are you not grateful, you even robbed my treasure-storing palace. You're courting death. Qin Yu looks at Di Long and shakes his head. Your Majesty Di Long, at first I thought you could be considered a hero. Now you're just a coward. You didn't even put me in your eyes, so why should I respect you? Qin Yu stares at Di Long with eyes as cold as stars and says, Di Long, in fact, given my master's status, it's already a great honor for you that I robbed your treasure-storing palace. Not only did you not repay me, you even tried to kill me. You're also courting death. Just now Di Long said that it was Qin Yu's honor to kill Qin Yu. Now Qin Yu has turned the tables and attacked them without backing down in the slightest. This makes the 7 majesties so angry that their bodies tremble and their faces turn purple. Listen to me. From now on, the Red Blood Cave will no longer listen to the orders of the Nine Spirits Hall. Your Nine Spirits Hall is your Nine Spirits Hall. My Red Blood Cave is my Red Blood Cave. There's nothing to do with each other. If you want to order me around, I'll break your arms and legs. Qin Yu says with a cold laugh. Afterwards, Qin Yu looks at Tingshan and Lu Ke and says, Lords Tingshan and Lu Ke, if you can defeat these 7 little worms, not only will I tell you everything about the 8th Jade Sword, but I'll also give you the treasure-storing palace with both hands. Tingshan's and Lu Ke's eyes brighten. Compared to the 8th Jade Sword, the treasure-storing palace is even more attractive. Qin Yu immediately looks at the 7 majesties and says furiously, A man must fight for his dignity. Even if I don't want the treasure-storing palace, I won't swallow this anger. Di Long, you 7, listen up. From now on, I, Qin Yu, am really going to fight against you. Di Long is enraged by Qin Yu's continuous words. The 7 majesties all want to tear Qin Yu apart directly. Qin Yu die. Di Long is the first to attack. Tung Shan and Lu Ke exchange a look. Both of them have made a decision. Tung Shan immediately says, Your Majesty Di Long, stop. Hearing Tung Shan's voice, a faint smile appears on Qin Yu's face. Author's note: this is the end of the first chapter. Today there will be a second chapter. Chapter 150. Di Long glares at Tung Shan and Lu Ke with murderous eyes. Tung Shan, Lu Ke, could it be you want to stop us 7 brothers from killing this little thief? The 6 brothers behind Di Long also stare angrily at Tung Shan and Lu Ke, looking as if they will attack as soon as there is a disagreement. Lu Ke reaches out his hand and says, Your Majesty Di Long, last time my great ancestor and the master of the Blue Dragon Temple fought over the 7th Jade Sword. The great ancestor lost in the end and was taken away by the master of the Blue Dragon Temple. If the Blue Dragon Temple has 2 jade swords, my Blue River province only has 1. You think 1 sword is not enough? Of course, Di Long and the others only say this in their minds. After all, they are not confident enough to fight old freak Three-Eyed head-on. My family's ancestor has always been brooding. Now that he knew about the information of the 8th Jade Sword, he gave me a death order. No matter what, I have to get the information of the 8th Jade Sword. My family's ancestor is determined to get the 8th Jade Sword. And Qin Yu knows the information about the 8th Jade Sword. When Lu Ke says this, the 7D brothers of course know what he means. Di Long says with a cold laugh, If you want to know about the 8th Jade Sword, why don't you just ask Qin Yu to tell you now? Di Long. Qin Yu looks at Di Long. You think I'll tell you now just because you want me to? Do you think you're an extraordinary person? Humph. Qin Yu gives a cold humph then continues. I've already told you that I'll tell you about the 8th Jade Sword, if you can beat the 7 of them back. Otherwise, I'd rather die than tell you. Your Majesty Di Long, you should have heard it. This Qin Yu is very stubborn. My great ancestor also gave a strict order. Lu Ke looks at Di Long. Di Long's eyes glitter with coldness, but he says nothing. What will you do if I insist on killing Qin Yu? Di Long looks at Lu Ke as if he doesn't care about anything else. What will I do? Lu Ke says smilingly. I, Lu Ke, am still no match for His Highness Di Long, so of course I can't do anything. But my old ancestor will be unhappy because of this. Once he is unhappy then, the 7D brothers can all sense the threat. The 6 brothers behind Di Long all stare at Lu Ke furiously. Lu Ke, however, keeps a calm smile on his face. You're threatening me. Di Long looked at Lu Ke. Lu Ke crossed his arms and ordered the protectors behind him. Protectors, the 7 majesties are here now. We are not as strong as them, so we can't stop them at all. Lu Ke's protectors also nodded. 7 majesties, if you want to kill that Qin Yu then go ahead. However, if my ancestor gets angry in the future, then I, Lu Ke, am unable to help. After saying that, Lu Ke shouted at his subordinates, Let's go to the side. Don't stop the 7 highnesses. Yes. After saying so, Lu Ke leads his protectors to fly directly to the sky several hundred meters above the Black Rock Island. His Highness Di Long, my palace master, has also given an order. He's determined to get the 8th Jade Sword. If you want to kill Qin Yu, of course I can't stop you. Tung Shan also appears very courteous. Your Highness Di Long, it's up to you to decide. But you should know that once my palace master gets angry, he can destroy the world. Protectors, let's go to the side. Don't stop the 7 majesties. Yes. Those protectors say respectfully one after another. Afterwards, Tung Shan also leads them to fly to Lu Ke's side. Tung Shan and Lu Ke are standing in midair with a group of protectors behind them. They are just looking at the 7 majesties. At the moment, there are only the 7 majesties of the 9 Spirits Hall, and Qin Yu on the Black Rock Island. The muscles on Di Long's face tremble. His eyes glitter with coldness. Obviously he is making an intense decision in his mind. Tung Shan and Lu Ke both have very high positions in the Blue Dragon Temple and Blue River Province. Their words can even represent the master of the Blue Dragon Temple, an old freak Three-Eyed. Facing the threats from both sides, Di Long hesitates. Big brother, why do you care so much about him? Just kill that Qin Yu straight away. Di Jin says in an ice-cold voice. Di Long's eyes brighten. He then says furiously, Qin Yu robbed the treasure-storing palace of our Nine Spirits Hall. Even if the master of the Blue Dragon Temple and old freak Three-Eyed come here in person, I still won't let this matter go. Brothers, don't worry about anything else. Just kill Qin Yu straight away. Yes. Di Su Di Yang, Di Jian Di Feng, Di Luan and Di Nai say in unison. Their voices resound through the sky. Originally they wanted to find out information about the 8th Jade Sword and the cause of Di Tong's death from Qin Yu. But now the furious Di Long directly gives the order to kill. Ting Shan and Lu Ke both frown. They both take out a transmitter. Master, that Qin Yu unexpectedly robbed the treasure-storing palace of the Nine Spirits Hall. Now the Nine Spirits Hall has vowed to kill Qin Yu. Tung Shan has only told the master of the Blue Dragon Temple about the general situation. As for how the master of the Blue Dragon Temple will react, that is his own business. Lu Ke does the same. He takes out a transmitter and sends a message to old freak Three-Eyed. Lu Ke just watched the show. That Qin Yu unexpectedly has a space ring big enough to hold the treasure-storing palace. I think he's definitely not ordinary. Standing in midair, Tung Shan looks at the 7 majesties and Qin Yu in the distance. Lu Ke also calmly watches the show. Tung Shan, I think even if the 7 majesties attack together, they won't necessarily be able to take down Qin Yu easily. Lu Ke still remembers the scene when Qin Yu was chased all the way here, but the 7 majesties never caught up with Qin Yu. Obviously Qin Yu's speed is also extremely fast. They've started. Tung Shan's eyes brighten. His attention is completely focused on the battlefield. Kill! Di Long shouts loudly. In an instant, the 7 brothers turn into 7 blurs and charge at Qin Yu at the same time. So slow. Now Qin Yu no longer pretends to be injured. Facing the powerful attacks of the 7 brothers, Qin Yu moves his feet and advances instead of retreating. His whole body rushes at the strongest Di Long like a ghost. Di Long and Qin Yu are originally very close to each other. In an instant Qin Yu and Di Long are face to face. Pooh! Di Long rapidly punches out, piercing Qin Yu's chest directly. Di Long cannot help being overjoyed. In an instant, he discovers that Qin Yu in front of him is unexpectedly not bleeding at all. At the same time, that Qin Yu slowly disappears. That is Qin Yu's blur. Third brother, don't punch him. Di Nai says in Di Yang's mind through holy sense communication. But almost at the same time, pong! Qin Yu and Di Yang's fists collide head-on. Qin Yu's body is as strong as a divine beast's. Coupled with the flaming gloves, Di Yang naturally cannot resist. With a clear and melodious cracking noise, Di Yang is sent flying away at once. His right hand has been injured. Why didn't you say so earlier? Di Yang says to Di Nai through holy sense communication. You can't blame me for this. Di Nai says very helplessly. Qin Yu's body transforms into a golden beam of light. Even at the moment, Qin Yu is only using 80% of his speed. Even so, he is still somewhat faster than Di Long. After all, the 7 of them have not transformed into their true forms. Group attacks? Group attacks are the last thing I'm afraid of. Qin Yu does not care about them at all. Speed is his forte, so Qin Yu simply does not care about being besieged by opponents. No matter how many of them there are, even if they cannot surround him, he will only face one opponent head-on. Every time he has faced only one enemy head-on, he has nothing to be afraid of. 2 early Dongshu stage experts also come. I'll make you regret it. Like a ghost, Qin Yu keeps dodging between the 7 brothers. The 7 brothers are basically unable to stop Qin Yu. A long while has passed, but they simply have not been able to leave even the slightest mark on Qin Yu. Haha, given your speed, if I want to run away, you simply won't be able to catch me. Qin Yu laughs out loud. The 7 brothers all have somewhat unsightly expressions, but they have no choice but to admit that this Qin Yu is indeed too fast. If Qin Yu really wants to run away, they really won't be able to stop him. Big brother, this guy is too fast. This is a bit bad. Di Yang says through holy sense communication. Di Su also says through holy sense communication. Big brother, speed is a small matter. But if he runs away and we can't catch him, if this matter spreads out, this time the 9 Spirits Hall sent out all its forces, but we still failed to catch the enemy. He even took away the treasure-storing palace. Big brother, it's time to make a decision. What should we do? Denai also says through holy sense communication. At the moment, it should be Big Brother D Long who makes the decision. Prepare the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation to trap Qin Yu and catch him like a turtle in a jar. Now that second brother is dead, Di Feng and Di Luan, you two join hands to prepare the formation base of the simplest water gate. Di Long directly tells his brothers through holy sense communication. I'll take charge of the life gate. Di Jian, you take charge of the death gate. Alright. Di Jian accepts the order. The death gate is the most powerful gate, so it requires extremely high power to set it up. Therefore, Di Long and Di Jian will take charge of the life and death gates. Di Su, you take charge of the Qian gate. Di Yang, you take charge of the Kuan gate. Di Nai, you take charge of the fire gate. The three brothers Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai all respond via holy sense communication. Di Luan, Di Feng, you two know how to set up the water gate, right? Too bad second brother is dead, so I can only rely on you two. At the moment Di Long also has no other choice. In the Nine Spirits Hall, Di Long and Di Jian are at the late Dongxi stage. 5 of them are at the middle Dongxi stage, and only 2 are at the early Dongxi stage. Now that Di Tong and Di Qing are dead, they can only rely on Di Luan and Di Feng to set up the formation. Don't worry, big brother. We won't let you down. As soon as Di Luan responds via holy sense communication, a golden light shoots over. It is none other than Qin Yu. You dare to chase after me at the early Dongxi stage? Qin Yu's voice rises in Di Luan's mind through holy sense communication. At the same time, Qin Yu throws a punch at Di Luan. It is so fast that Di Luan simply cannot dodge it. Di Luan has no choice but to raise his arms to block it. With the sound of bones breaking, Di Luan takes advantage of the counterforce to draw back. Die! Qin Yu follows up again and throws another punch at Di Luan's head. Obviously he wants to kill Di Luan directly. Whiz! A flying sword stabs at him. Flying swords can change their direction at will, so Qin Yu does not dare to let it pierce into his body. He immediately forms a claw with his hand and grabs it directly. However, the flying sword bursts out with extremely powerful energy and unexpectedly shakes off Qin Yu's hand. Qin Yu, however, does not care about this at all. He looks at Di Long, who has launched a sneak attack on him, and says, Di Long, 2 early Dongxi stage worms dare to chase after me? You must be tired of living. At the moment Di Long is also frowning. Obviously he has also noticed that Di Luan and Di Feng have almost no power to resist Qin Yu. They are almost useless here. Perhaps they will even be killed by Qin Yu because of his speed. 7th brother, you and 5th brother leave first. Di Long shouts loudly. At the same time, he says via holy sense communication. 7th brother, 5th brother, you go to a place over 100 li north of the Black Rock Island and get ready to set up a formation. Di Yang, you get ready too. As Di Long gives orders one after another, the Majesties all make preparations. The Nine Spirits Hall is known as one of the 3 underwater superpowers. I don't think it's anything special. Qin Yu says laughingly. At the same time, his speed unexpectedly increases by a bit. His whole body shuttles back and forth in all directions like a golden thread, while Qin Yu's hands are his weapons. Wearing the flaming gloves, Qin Yu's hands can directly collide with top-grade holy weapons. Qin Yu's hands can transform into all kinds of weapons, such as sword fingers, saber palms, iron fists. Ha! Qin Yu's body suddenly appears in front of Di Su. His right hand descends from the sky and smashes down at Di Su's head just like that. Given Qin Yu's right hand's power, even a high-grade holy weapon can be smashed to pieces by this strike, let alone Di Su's head. A short stick appears in Di Su's hands. Pung! Qin Yu descends from the sky and slaps down on the short stick with a tremendous force. The short stick is not affected at all, but Qin Yu's terrifying force is transmitted to Di Su's hands through the short stick. Di Su's hands simply cannot resist Qin Yu's terrifying brute force. His body is slapped down to the ground by Qin Yu like a meteorite. Haha again. Qin Yu's loud laughter resounds through the battlefield. In the blink of an eye, he appears in another place. Qin Yu simply does not fight Di Jian and Di Long head-on. He only fights Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai head-on. When Qin Yu arrives in front of Di Nai extremely fast, Di Nai suddenly completely ignores Qin Yu and focuses his entire attention on his hands. Even his eyes look at his hands. In an instant, all of his essence, qi and spirit are focused on his hands. Essence, qi and spirit combine to form the inner triad. Hands, eyes and body combine to form the outer triad. The inner and outer triad are collectively known as the 6 triads. Fire. Di Nai suddenly shouts loudly. In the blink of an eye, he concentrates his essence, qi and spirit to the extreme. Everything about his body and gestures is perfect. At the same time, a dragon-shaped flame emerges from his body. Almost at the same time, life, death, qian, kuan, water. The other 5 shouts rise almost at the same time. At the same time, 5 dragon-shaped forces soar into the sky. The 6 dragon-shaped forces have different colors. Qin Yu punches Di Nai's body with his fist, but he is directly forced back by the forces. 6 gates of Qian, Kuan, life, death, water and fire are established. The Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation is formed. In the blink of an eye, the area within several hundred li is completely isolated from the outside world. Chapter 151. Various kinds of auras intertwine with each other, covering an area of several hundred li in radius. This formation covers a very large area for ordinary people, but for experts at Qin Yu's and Di Long's level, it is just like a small training ground for ordinary people. A formation? Looking at the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation in front of him, Qin Yu immediately recalls a formation chapter he once read in a Xiuzhen book. It's the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. This is going to be a bit troublesome. Qin Yu mumbles to himself. At the same time, his whole body soars into the sky like a straight line. A flaming sword suddenly appears in his hand, and he thrusts it directly at the light screen. The force of Qin Yu's sword attack is unexpectedly completely neutralized by the light screen, as if it has hit a slippery and extremely tough cloth. It's indeed the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Qin Yu is certain. The Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation is only a formation for trapping people, and is not an illusory formation or any other formation. However, it has locked all directions so that one cannot go up into the sky or down into the ground. He, Qin Yu, could only move within the range of the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Qin Yu, aren't you very fast? Di Long's voice resounds through the whole formation. At the moment, he is standing in midair inside the formation and looking at Qin Yu like a cat playing with a mouse. The other majesties are also standing behind him. The 7 brothers look down at Qin Yu, as if everything is under their control. Haha, Di Long's face is ferocious. He bursts out laughing, then glares at Qin Yu. Qin Yu, now you can't go up into the sky or down into the ground. Let's see where you can run to now. Brothers, attack! Di Long shouts loudly. The other majesties dive down one after another to attack Qin Yu. Only Di Luan, whose arms are seriously injured, withdraws from the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Brothers, I'll have to ask you to deal with my saber attack. Di Luan's heart is filled with hatred. How he wants to torture Qin Yu. But his arms have been fractured by Qin Yu's heavy punches, and his attacking power has been greatly reduced. He knows his own strength, so he immediately withdraws from the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. This Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation was truly miraculous. The person who set up the formation could easily travel in or out. The others could neither come out nor enter from the outside. Old 7, don't worry. I'll deal with your saber. Almost at the same time, several majesties responded. Each of them charged towards Qin Yu with murderous intent. The formation only covered a radius of several hundred miles. The 6 majesties shuttled back and forth at high speed, attacking Qin Yu ceaselessly. At the moment, Qin Yu uses his body movements completely. He doesn't dare to face Di Jian and Di Long head-on, and can only launch sneak attacks at them. However, he dares to face the other princes head-on. Haha! Qin Yu's figure suddenly appears in front of Di Feng. Di Feng is greatly alarmed. Qin Yu throws a punch. The air around his fist explodes in an instant. The flaming gloves fit perfectly on his knuckles. Qin Yu's knuckles pierce through the air, thrusting directly at Di Feng's face with frightening momentum. With one punch, heaven and earth will collapse. Even though Di Feng is alarmed, he knows at this moment that if he dodges, he will have no chance of surviving. Fight! Di Feng's eyes turn red. He also uses both arms to block directly. At the same time, the purple demon armor completely appears on the surface of his body. A powerful protective demonic elemental energy keeps moving about on the surface of his body. Then, Qin Yu's heaven-shattering, earth-shattering punch smashes on Di Feng's arms. With a series of bone-shattering sounds, Di Feng's arms are unexpectedly smashed into pieces. His bones shatter, and his flesh and blood splatter in all directions. Fifth brother! Di Long shouts loudly. However, Qin Yu is too fast, so the other brothers simply cannot save him in time. A hint of madness flashes through Di Feng's eyes. When his arms are smashed, he draws support from the force of Qin Yu's punch to retreat at a high speed. He retreats fast, but Qin Yu's punch is even faster. Bang! Qin Yu's punch smashes Di Feng's arms, then punches Di Feng's chest again. Di Feng retreats even faster than before. In just a moment, Di Jian, Di Long, Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai charge at Qin Yu almost simultaneously. Facing the five furious brothers, Qin Yu has no choice but to fly backwards. Fifth brother. Di Long helps Di Feng up, his face full of nervousness. Di Feng clenches his teeth and says, "Big brother, I'm all right. It's just that my arms are broken. From now on, I'll have to rely on my legs and holy weapons to attack. That Qin Yu's punches are fierce, but part of their power has been neutralized by my arms. Moreover, I'm flying backwards, and I'm wearing the purple demon armor, so my injuries are not serious." At the moment, Di Feng does not care about his arms being broken at all. "Big brother, you must avenge eighth brother. I'll have to rely on you to avenge my broken arms. You must kill that Qin Yu. I'm going to get out of this formation first." Di Feng is not upset at all. After saying so, he immediately flies out of the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Even though Di Feng's arms are broken, his heart is filled with hatred towards Qin Yu. At the moment, however, Di Long hates Qin Yu even more. The five brothers besiege Qin Yu, but Qin Yu keeps dodging, not caring at all. "Di Long," Qin Yu says while dodging, "you also know that early Dongshu stage 2 little worms are simply no match for me. That Di Luan can be considered smart. He went out at the beginning. If Di Feng didn't go out, he would be courting death. Your big brother is also a muddle-headed worm." Di Long becomes even more furious. In the beginning, when the brothers finished setting up the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, they all thought that Qin Yu was a turtle in a jar, and wanted to kill him as soon as possible. Di Luan also had no choice but to retreat, because he was seriously injured by Qin Yu earlier. The hot-headed majesties simply forget that even though Qin Yu is trapped in the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, it is not so easy to kill him. "Kill." Di Long, whose eyes have turned red with fury, squeezes out this word from between his teeth. He then takes the lead in charging at Qin Yu. The other four majesties also use various tricks. Their holy weapons flutter, long-range attacks and close-range attacks are omnipresent. Outside the Black Rock Island, Tung Shan and Lu Ku are standing side by side. The guardians behind them are standing silently in the air. Inside the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, Qin Yu is fighting five majesties alone. Qin Yu is like a golden beam of light. However, the five majesties have learned from their mistakes. The three middle Dongshu stage majesties move together. Di Long, Di Jian, Di Su, Di Yang and Di Nai move together. Qin Yu cannot resist any of these three attacks. "Lu Ku, aren't you very smart? How long do you think this Qin Yu can hold on?" Tung Shan asks smilingly. At the moment, Tung Shan simply does not have any hope that Qin Yu can come out alive. Even though Qin Yu is extremely fast, it will consume a lot of star energy to keep flying at such a high speed. How long? If the five majesties of the Nine Spirits Hall just keep chasing him like idiots, I suppose they won't be able to catch or kill Qin Yu. Lu Ku seems to be full of confidence. Tung Shan, however, disagrees. Lu Ke, don't tell me you don't know about the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation? It completely blocks the outside and the inside. Even the holy aura of the universe can't pass through it. Qin Yu is indeed very fast, but he must consume a lot of energy to fight such a fierce battle. As time goes by, the holy aura of the universe inside the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation will be completely absorbed. By then, they will have to consume the energy inside their bodies. Tung Shan says confidently, by consuming the energy inside their bodies, Qin Yu will probably die within 3 days. But what about the 5 majesties? Firstly, they have medicinal pills to replenish their demonic elemental energy. Secondly, as the people who set up the formation, they can recover outside the formation. But Qin Yu won't be able to recover. Even if they can't catch Qin Yu, they will eventually be caught because of Qin Yu's energy consumption. Wrong. Lu Ke says smilingly. Tung Shan frowns and says, how is it wrong? I can't think of a way that Qin Yu can escape alive. Lu Ke bursts into loud laughter. Tung Shan, your brain has become rigid. That's right. Under normal circumstances, Qin Yu won't be able to escape death. But don't forget that my old ancestor and your palace master are already on their way. 3 days. The old ancestor, who is already prepared, will probably arrive within a day. Haha, I know. Tung Shan suddenly sees the light. Once the master of my Blue Dragon Temple and your old ancestor Three-Eyed arrive, they will definitely be killed. But if Qin Yu doesn't die, Qin Yu's life won't be decided by the people of the 9 Spirits Hall. This Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation's defensive power is indeed formidable. Unless one person's offensive power is greater than the total of the 6 people who set up the formation, it will be absolutely easy for Palace Master to break it. Qin Yu represents the 8th Jade Sword and Treasure Storing Palace. Once the Master of the Blue Dragon Temple and Old Freak Three-Eyed arrive, how can they possibly let Qin Yu be killed by the 5 majesties? They will definitely break the formation and catch Qin Yu directly. Even though Qin Yu is faster than Di Long and Di Jian, there is still a big gap between him and the early Kongming stage Divine Beast Azure Dragon and the late Dongxi stage Divine Beast Three-Eyed Blue-Eyed Toad. That Three-Eyed Blue-Eyed Toad is only at the late Dongxi stage, but it is a divine beast. If it really goes berserk, it can single-handedly defeat all the brothers of the 9 Spirits Hall regardless of its serious injuries. It will not be an equal match, but a defeat. The Three-Eyed Blue-Eyed Toad is not an ordinary divine beast. Its third eye is terrifyingly powerful. Even Azure Dragon, who has reached the early Kongming stage, does not dare to take the attack of the Three-Eyed Blue-Eyed Toad's third eye head-on. This is also the reason why the Master of the Blue Dragon Temple and Old Freak Three-Eyed are regarded as experts of the same level as each other. Azure Dragon is a divine beast and has reached the early Kongming stage. His power is definitely comparable to that of a Dujia stage Xiuxianist. In the overseas Xiuzhen world, where there are basically no Dujia stage Xiuxianists, it is normal for Azure Dragon to be called the No. That Qin Yu is pretty powerful, but he's not qualified to be compared with the 3 superpowers. He doesn't have enough power, but he got Treasure Storing Palace, and even knows about the 8th Jade Sword. Oh, and that spatial ring that's big enough to hold Treasure Storing Palace is enough to decide Qin Yu's fate. Tung Shan says with a sigh. Lu Ke also nods his head. To have a treasure, one must also have enough power to deter others. Otherwise, the treasure will only attract other experts to fight for it. Qin Yu can be considered an expert in the overseas Xiuzhen world, but he is not even a match for Di Long and Di Jian of the 9 Spirits Hall. He is only a bit more powerful than Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai, not to mention the Master of the Blue Dragon Temple and Old Freak Three-Eyed. Of course he will be bullied by the other powers. For example, Qin Yu asked Di Long why he wanted to kill him in the past. Di Long's answer was that it would be an honor for him to kill him, and he should be grateful. This is the Xiuzhen world where the strong are supreme. Even though Di Long's answer is somewhat extreme and arrogant, it also illustrates some of the rules of the Xiuzhen world. For example, Tung Shan is not a super expert. In the eyes of the brothers of the 9 Spirits Hall, Even though Tung Shan killed Di Qing, the 9 spirits hall only questioned the Blue Dragon Temple and did not dare to kill Tung Shan directly without the permission of the master of the Blue Dragon Temple. This is because Tung Shan is backed by the #1 expert of the overseas Xiuzhen world, the master of the Blue Dragon Temple. Once they kill Tung Shan, the furious master of the Blue Dragon Temple may even destroy the 9 spirits hall directly. While Lu Ku and Tung Shan are talking with each other, suddenly, illusion spreading sword art, dawning light. Qin Yu's loud shout resounds unceasingly. At the same time, a sword shadow as dazzling as the sun has already pierced through the sky and shot towards Di Yang. Di Yang hurriedly controls his sword to defend himself. Di Su and Di Nai on one side also help to defend against the attack. However, as soon as this dawning light is displayed, Di Yang and the others only feel that it is as dazzling as the sun in front of their eyes. At the same time, the sword shadow is also indistinct, so they simply cannot determine the exact position of the attack. Di Yang and the other two cannot help but become nervous. Protect your vital parts. Di Long's voice is transmitted directly into the minds of the 3 brothers. Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai immediately wake up. No matter how unpredictable Qin Yu's swordsmanship is, if he wants to injure people, he must attack their bodies. Can't they just protect their vital parts? The sun is shining brightly. That sword shadow shooting towards them extremely fast sometimes seems to be 2 or 3 centimeters higher, sometimes lower, sometimes deviated 2 or 3 centimeters to the left, and sometimes deviated 2 or 3 centimeters to the right. One sword move seems to have turned into several swords. Bang! Qin Yu's sword pierces Di Su's long stick. Di Yang and the others cannot help but feel a lingering fear. Everybody be careful. Don't be too careless. This Qin Yu is adept at using Xiuxianist's flying swords. Di Long hurriedly warns his brothers. However, Qin Yu keeps dodging again. He no longer attacks carelessly. The sword move just now was a relatively formidable move of the illusion-spreading sword art, so it consumed a great deal of energy. Qin Yu immediately tries his best to absorb the holy aura of nature to replenish his energy. Fei, how long will it take for you to arrive? Qin Yu asks while holding the transmitter in one hand. Soon, big brother. Just wait a little longer. Ho Fei is also hurrying towards this place. When Qin Yu is absorbing the holy aura of nature, he suddenly discovers that it is shockingly thin. What's going on? Qin Yu spreads out his holy sense. To his surprise, he finds that the holy aura of nature in this great 6 harmonies, heavenly gates formation, and the holy aura of nature in the outside world simply cannot circulate because of the formation's obstruction. The other 5 majesties are also absorbing holy aura with all their might. Obviously, they want to use up the holy aura of nature in the formation as soon as possible. Qin Yu immediately has a bad feeling. Judging from how easily Di Feng and Di Luan went out, he knows that the person who set up the formation can go out. In other words, the enemies can go out to replenish their internal energy, but he has no way to replenish his energy. Even though he has the Yuanying left behind by the guardians of the red blood cave in his interspatial ring, refining Yuanying is not as simple as absorbing holy aura. Big brother, I'm here. Ho Fei suddenly sends a message to Qin Yu. In just a short while, with a rumbling sound, an ape suddenly appeared in front of Di Feng. At the same time, a black stick with a force of 10,000 caddies slashed through the air. Because the speed was too fast, the air didn't even have time to produce a sonic boom. Di Feng's eyes pop out of his head. Seeing the black stick arrive in front of him in an instant, he simply has no time to react. Pung! When it is chopped down, Di Feng's head is immediately smashed to smithereens. The terrifying force of the black stick even smashes Di Feng's body. His bones are shattered and his flesh and blood fly all over the sky. Not far from Di Feng, Di Luan is already scared stiff. The 5 majesties in the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation also watch this scene with stupefied expressions. Tung Shan, Lu Ku and the guardians behind them are all astonished. For a while, they have not reacted. Even Qin Yu in the Great 6 Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation is startled by Ho Fei's appearance. Chapter 152. Nobody at the scene, including the majesties of the Ninth Spirit's Hall, Tung Shan, Lu Ku and the others, thought that someone would suddenly appear out of nowhere and kill a majesty of the Ninth Spirit's Hall with a blow of his stick without mercy. Still want to escape? Ho Fei reaches out with his hand and grabs a Yuanying in Ho Fei's palm. That Yuanying immediately cries out miserably. Big brother, quickly come and save me. This Yuanying is none other than Di Feng's Yuanying. Although Di Feng's head was smashed by the stick at the beginning, the moment his body was smashed, his soul immediately fused with his Yuanying, trying to escape stealthily. Once he reaches his brother's side, his life will be saved. After all, even if he is a loose immortal, it is still better than losing his life. Di Feng does not want to die. Stop! Di Long shouts loudly and is about to rush out. Ho Fei grabs Di Feng's Yuanying and shouts at once. Stop, you stop right there. If you take one more step, I'll destroy his soul directly. The rest of you don't move either. Once you move, humph humph. Various streams of demonic elemental energy start to shine on Ho Fei's hand. Seeing the demonic elemental energy in Ho Fei's hand, and the small Yuanying wrapped in it, the five majesties do not dare to move even a single step even though they are very anxious. After all, Di Feng's life is in Ho Fei's hands. As for Di Luan, who is not far from them, he does not dare to move either. His power is about the same as Di Feng's. Since Ho Fei killed Di Feng so easily, it will definitely not be difficult for him to kill Di Luan. Don't be impulsive. Do you know that you just killed a majesty of the Ninth Spirit's Hall? Brother Monkey, if you let my fifth brother go, I'll pretend that nothing happened just now. What do you say? Di Long hurriedly says. At this moment, who has the time to avenge Di Feng? It will be good enough if they can save Di Feng's Yuanying. Ho Fei. He is the second cave master of the Red Blood Cave, Ho Fei. Di Luan says at once. When he, Di Jian and Di Qing went to the Red Blood Cave, they met Ho Fei. However, at that time, Qing Yu had lied about Ho Fei's strength, so Di Luan didn't pay much attention to Ho Fei. Who would have thought that this Ho Fei would be so powerful? The second cave master of the Red Blood Cave? Di Long, Di Jian, and the other four majesties are greatly shocked. At the same time, they secretly have a bad feeling. Just now, they had chased after Qing Yu to kill him. Now their own brother's life had fallen into the hands of another brother. This was terrible. I didn't expect this Qing Yu to be so powerful. Not only is he strong, even his brother is so powerful. Lu Ke praised with a smile. Tung Shan, who was also watching the show, also nodded with a smile. I thought it would be a one-sided game, but it seems to be getting more and more exciting. But now that Divinity and the others have come, there won't be any suspense in this game anymore. Tung Shan said smilingly. Now let's just enjoy the wonderful performance of Brother Qing Yu and the other brothers of the Nine Spirits Hall. Since it has nothing to do with them, they just let it go. Lu Ke, Tung Shan, and the others are simply watching the show. Inside the formation, Qing Yu gives Ho Fei a thumbs up. Fei, you've done well. Qing Yu says smilingly. Ho Fei is extremely complacent at once. His big hairy hand is still holding Di Feng's Yuanying. His fiery eyes sweep over the others. All of you listen up. Now remove that formation and let my big brother out. Otherwise don't blame me for. After saying so, the demonic elemental energy in Ho Fei's palm becomes even more vigorous. However, Ho Fei knows what he's doing. No matter how vigorous his demonic elemental energy is, it only wraps around the Yuanying and does not harm Di Feng's soul. Stop. Don't get too excited. Di Long shouts loudly. Now he has to calm down Ho Fei first. What he is most worried about is that Ho Fei will kill his brother in a fit of anger. Big brother, are we really going to let Qing Yu go? Di Yang and the others look at Di Long unwillingly. Di Long is also furious. Even though they have not figured out who the murderer of 8th brother Di Tong's death is, they are sure of one thing, which is that it has something to do with Qing Yu. Moreover, Qing Yu has seized their own treasure-storing palace. Don't let him go. If not, what about 5th brother? Di Long says with a cold humph. But his words are full of helplessness. A living person is always more important than a dead person. 8th brother is already dead. We can't let fifth brother have any mishap. Di Long says with a sigh. Hearing this, Di Jian and the other three also sigh helplessly. After all, it is impossible for them to watch Di Feng die. Di Long takes a look at Qin Yu. Qin Yu, however, looks at Di Long with a calm smile, looking quite at ease. Ho Fei, it's not hard to let your big brother go. But we have an additional condition. Your big brother Qin, you seized our ninth spirit's hall's treasure storing palace. As long as your big brother returns it to us, I'll let your big brother go immediately. Di Long is trying his best to get some benefits in this most helpless situation. He is not willing to let Qin Yu go just like this. At the very least, he has to get his treasure storing palace back first. Before Qin Yu can say anything, Ho Fei shouts loudly. Fuck, you still want to talk about conditions with me? Bullshit. Big brother, I really admire you. You even seized that treasure storing palace. Haha, since it's called treasure storing palace, there must be a lot of treasures in it. Seeing Ho Fei like this, Qin Yu cannot help giving a smile. Ho Fei then looks at Di Long and the others and shouts. Just one word. Are you going to let him go or not? If you don't, I'll kill this brat straight away. Don't talk about conditions with me. If you want to talk about conditions, there's only one word, kill. The faces of Di Long and the other brothers stiffen. They then become helpless. At this point, they have no choice but to let him go. However, at this moment, big brother, take care of yourselves. A voice enters the minds of Di Long and the other brothers. It is none other than Di Feng's holy sense communication. The faces of Di Long and the other brothers change color greatly at once. Hearing Di Feng's holy sense communication, they already know his choice. You're courting death. A red light flashes in Ho Fei's eyes. A stream of demonic elemental energy pierces directly into the Yuanying's soul and destroys it directly. Outsiders may not know this, but Qin Yu knows that Ho Fei is actually very careful despite his careless appearance. When he caught Di Feng's Yuanying, he was always on guard against Di Feng's self-detonation. His demonic elemental energy then pierced into the Yuanying's soul to destroy it. It should be known that even self-detonation requires Yuanying's energy, which is a process. As soon as Ho Fei feels the Yuanying's energy begin to surge, he destroys Di Feng's soul without hesitation. As soon as the soul is destroyed, the Yuanying completely turns into a kind of energy crystal. Afterwards, the Yuanying disappears with a flash. Obviously, it has been absorbed by Ho Fei. Fifth brother. Di Long and the other brothers all shout out in pain. At the same time, the extremely furious brothers of the Ninth Spirit's Hall immediately rush out of the Great Six Directions formation, wanting to kill Ho Fei directly to avenge their fifth brother Di Feng. You dared to trick me. After destroying Di Feng's soul, Ho Fei roars wildly. With a movement of his body, he arrives in front of Di Luan in the blink of an eye, as if he has teleported. A furious shout is heard. A black stick shadow seems to descend from the sky and smashes down brazenly. It is too fast. Di Luan finally understands how Di Feng felt at that time. He only has time to think about this kind of speed in his head, and simply has no time to block it with his hands and feet. Stop. Di Long, Di Jian, Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai, who have rushed out of the Great Six Directions Heavenly Gates formation, are all alarmed. However, because Di Feng intends to self-detonate, Ho Fei is furious. Qin Yu also knows that Ho Fei has a very bad temper. A hot-tempered Ho Fei is terrifying. Ah! A sharp sound is heard. Ho Fei's face is ferocious and unruly. Immediately afterwards, with a boom, Di Luan's entire body is smashed into pieces, and his flesh and blood are separated from his body. But this time, the furious Ho Fei simply doesn't give Di Luan any chance to escape. The black stick smashes directly on Di Luan's Yuanying, who is trying to escape. The attack of the black stick is really too powerful. In an instant, the Yuanying completely collapses. With a bang, Ho Fei's black stick unexpectedly smashes Di Luan's Yuanying into pieces. Di Long and the others, who originally thought they still have a chance to negotiate, see clearly that the black stick smashes directly on the Yuanying. They are all stupefied by the explosion. Seventh brother is dead. Not long after their fifth brother died, their seventh brother also died. You dared to play tricks on me? You're courting death. Hou Fei's eyes glitter. All his hair stands on end. A terrifying aura like that of a peerless ferocious beast spreads out from Hou Fei's body in all directions. That absolutely tyrannical aura makes people's heart tremble. After smashing Yuanying into self-detonating, Hou Fei's body is unexpectedly not injured at all. You. Di Long and the other 4 brothers look at Hou Fei and say these words angrily. Their eyes turn completely red. Afterwards, they roar furiously and charge madly at Hou Fei. Just now 2 of their brothers died one after another, causing them to go crazy. Di Wan and Di Feng. They are the only early Dongshu stage experts among the 9 brothers, and also the weakest. Di Long and the others rarely let them do dangerous things, so the other brothers are very concerned about them. But now both of them have died. Di Long slashes furiously with his sword. Di Jian's hand glitters with green light. Di Su also whips fiercely with the long stick in his hand. The 5 Di brothers are all determined to kill Hou Fei, in one move regardless of their own safety. Fei, don't fight recklessly. Your speed should be about the same as Di Long's. Moreover, you're more agile than him. Try your best to dodge. Qin Yu immediately uses holy sense communication. Hou Fei's speed is naturally not as fast as his, but it is not inferior to Di Long's at all. A divine beast is after all a divine beast. How can a fiery-eyed water ape, who is known as the one and only one in the entire Xiuzhen world, be so simple? Don't worry, big brother. Kaka, haha, this is awesome. Brat, use your stick too. Take my stick. Hou Fei's voice floats in the sky above the Black Rock Island. However, he himself keeps dodging. Hou Fei deserves to be called an ape, and a divine beast at that. His body is extremely agile, and his dodging is graceful, and without any pattern. Even though his speed is similar to Di Long's, it is a bit difficult for Di Long and Di Jian to attack Hou Fei. Peng. Hou Fei's black stick and Di Su's long stick collide. Di Su's whole body is sent flying several tens of meters away, while Hou Fei also retreats several meters. However, at the same time, Di Long has already arrived behind Hou Fei and thrusted his sword at his back. Hou Fei's black stick is very agile. He turns his hand and thrusts it forward. The black stick and the flying sword collide. Hou Fei's body cannot help leaning forward. Kaka, awesome. Come again. Hou Fei unexpectedly attacks Di Long again. You are courting death. Di Long immediately becomes excited. He concentrates all his power. He also wants to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Hou Fei in one fell swoop. However, Di Long suddenly discovers that at this moment, Hou Fei's eyes are shining brightly and his aura is even stronger. He is actually hiding his strength. Di Long is shocked. However, he still holds his sword and collides with Hou Fei's black stick. One pierces the space, bringing with it an incomparable speed like a lightning strike. The other smashes the world, bringing with it an earth-shattering power. It smashes down like a giant pillar holding up the sky. Peng. The space vibrates. The 2 of them are unexpectedly sent flying back at the same time. They are evenly matched. You want to defeat me without transforming into your true form? How is that possible? Hou Fei disdains Di Long in his heart. At that time, he told Qin Yu that he could be evenly matched with Di Long when he entered berserk mode. That was when Di Long transformed into his true form. If Di Long did not transform into his true form, Hou Fei naturally would not have to enter berserk mode. However, at the same time as the 2 of them are sent flying backwards by the powerful collision. Be careful. Qin Yu's voice rises in Hou Fei's mind through holy sense communication. Pooh. Hou Fei hurriedly dodges, but his back is still pierced by the sword. A very large wound, nearly 30 to 40 centimeters long, appears on his back. His flesh and blood are all exposed. Blood flows out continuously from that huge wound. Hou Fei, prepare to die. Di Jian shouts furiously and charges at Hou Fei. Even though Hou Fei's body has a pretty good restorative ability, it is still no match for Qin Yu, who has Lu Xing's tear. His wound is also so large that even though his demonic elemental energy is blocking it, blood still flows out continuously. Peng, 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 bang, 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 bang. However, this is a formation set up by the 7 majesties of the 9 spirits hall. Qin Yu himself is a bit weaker than Di Long, so it is basically impossible for him to break this formation. What should I do? What should I do? Qin Yu becomes a bit anxious. Hou Fei's power is not bad, but facing the joint attack of the five majesties, Hou Fei's odds are stacked against him. Qin Yu clenches his teeth. A transmitter appears in his hand. It is the transmitter that Uncle Lon gave to Qin Yu in the past. But before Qin Yu can send a message, haha, this place is so splendid. Brats of the Nine Spirits Hall. At least you have some status, but you unexpectedly ganged up on one person. Tisk tisk, this is too much. A vigorous voice resounds through the Black Rock Island. At the same time, the surrounding seawater roars. Suddenly, a figure appears in the sky. As soon as Qin Yu sees this person, he cannot help being startled. It turns out this person has a human body and a dragon head. This is very strange. This person is wearing a blue dragon robe. The aura he emits is as oppressive as Mount Tai. Everyone present feels a kind of palpitations and is completely powerless to resist. Greetings, Abyssal Lord. Tung Shan and the other members of the Blue Dragon Temple immediately bow and say extremely respectfully. Lu Ku and the others on one side also bow and salute. Lu Ku of the Blue River Province and protectors pay respects to the Lord of the Blue Dragon Temple. Lu Ku and the others are also very respectful. The Lord of the Blue Dragon Temple? Qin Yu is greatly shocked. The person in front of him with a human body and a dragon head is unexpectedly the Lord of the Blue Dragon Temple, known as the #1 expert of the overseas Xiuzhen world. Isn't the Lord of the Blue Dragon Temple a divine beast? Without undergoing the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, shouldn't he be unable to transform into a human body? At this moment, Qin Yu becomes doubtful again. Chapter 153. Originally, Di Long, Di Jian and the other 4 brothers were attacking Hou Fei like crazy, but because of the arrival of the Blue Dragon Temple's master, they have no choice but to stop attacking for the time being. Di Long and the other brothers greet the master of the Blue Dragon Temple. The 5D brothers only cup their hands slightly in obeisance. After all, they are majesties of the Nine Spirits Hall. Nominally, the Nine Spirits Hall and the Blue Dragon Temple are also one of the 3 underwater superpowers. It's just that this Blue Dragon Temple's master is too powerful. The Nine Spirits Hall's territory covers an area of 90 million li in radius and has over 1 million Zuyoists in total. The Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province are more powerful than the Nine Spirits Hall. Their territory covers an area of over 100 million li in radius, and they also have an extremely large number of Zuyoists under their command. Di Long, you heard from Tung Shan that you were chasing a guy called Qin Yu. How come you're killing a monkey now? Moreover, the 5 of you joined hands? With a faint smile on his face, the Blue Dragon Temple's master asks straightforwardly. Di Long knows very well that this Blue Dragon Temple's master is normally very nice to outsiders, but when he gets angry, he becomes completely lawless and simply doesn't show any mercy. Temple Master, you don't know. This monkey is Qin Yu's brother. His name is Hou Fei. Just now he unexpectedly took advantage of the fact that we 5 brothers were besieging Qin Yu in the Great 6 Harmonies, Heavenly Gates formation, to directly kill my 5th and 7th brothers. If we don't get revenge for this, the brothers of the Nine Spirits Hall won't be able to die in peace. Di Long's face is filled with killing intent. His words contain endless killing intent. The 4 brothers behind him are also seething with killing intent. Just now 2 of their brothers were killed in succession, so they all want to kill Hou Fei as soon as possible. Hou Fei. The Blue Dragon Temple's master takes a look at Hou Fei and suddenly says in astonishment, "Oh, he's only at the late stage of yuanying. You guys joined hands for so long, but still couldn't kill him. Looks like this Hou Fei is also a divine beast. Amazing, amazing." A late yuanying stage Zuyoist can survive the siege of Di Long, and the other late Dongxi stage Zuyoists for so long. Therefore, he must be a divine beast. Di Long frowns. However, Di Jian beside him says, "Master of the Blue Dragon Temple, this Hou Fei killed my 5th and 7th brothers. We'll fight him to the death." Abyssal Lord, Since you've come here, are you going to stop us brothers? Dijian's eyes are as cold as ice. When Qin Yu, who was inside the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, heard this, a glimmer of hope appeared in his heart. Haha, if you want to kill me, then kill me. What does that have to do with me? The Blue Dragon Temple Master waved his sleeves and flew directly into the sky above Black Rock Island. A cloud then appeared beneath his feet. He looked down from the cloud, as if he was watching a show. Tung Shan and the others quickly flew behind the Blue Dragon Temple Master and stood respectfully. Kaka, a bunch of bugs, you want to kill me? In your dreams, Ho Fei says with a laugh. His face is full of viciousness. He brandished his black stick and smashed it at Di Yang's head. At this moment, the 5D brothers of the Ninth Spirits Hall also go berserk. They immediately charge at Ho Fei. Since the Blue Dragon Temple Master has said that he will not stop them from killing Ho Fei, he will definitely not stop them. Without this concern, the 5D brothers naturally go all out in their attacks. In the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, Qin Yu is watching the scene in front of him. The people of the Blue Dragon Temple and Blue River Province are all watching a show, while Ho Fei is being besieged by the 5D brothers. Moreover, in Qin Yu's opinion, Ho Fei is obviously at a disadvantage. Therefore, Qin Yu is naturally anxious. Chatter. An ear-piercing noise like that of a night owl suddenly resounds through the area of several thousand li around the Black Rock Island. Lu Ku and the others are immediately overjoyed. The 5D brothers of the Ninth Spirits Hall have no choice but to stop for the time being. They see a young man dressed in green appear out of nowhere. This young man is devilishly handsome. His long green hair is so long that it even reaches his buttocks. As it flutters in the wind, he gives off a devilish feeling. The strangest thing is that there is a vertical line between his eyebrows. Ancestor. Lu Ku and the other people of the Blue River Province hurriedly bow and say, "They are here, Blue Dragon Temple Master. Old Freak Three-Eyed has also come." Qin Yu is slightly startled. Suddenly, haha, Three-Eyed, you're a divine beast anyhow. Only after overcoming the 9th Heaven Tribulation, can you completely transform into a human. You've only overcome the 6th Heaven Tribulation, so you can transform into half a human at most. But you Toad, you're really too prideful. You even used illusions to deceive others and yourself. The Blue Dragon Temple Master laughs out loud and directly calls Old Freak Three-Eyed a hypocrite. Qin Yu, however, is startled. This Old Freak Three-Eyed is really formidable. He used illusions, but I didn't detect them at all. In Qin Yu's eyes, Old Freak Three-Eyed really looks like a youngster. Of all the people present, only the Blue Dragon Temple Master is able to see through Old Freak Three-Eyed's illusions. Old Freak Three-Eyed's true form is a blue-eyed toad. Toads are ugly, but Old Freak Three-Eyed is extremely vain. Of course he doesn't like his own ugly appearance, so he has learned illusions, so that others will see him as a handsome youngster. Azure Dragon. Old Freak Three-Eyed is furious. His long green hair immediately flutters in the wind. You old ugly bastard. You run around with a dragon head on your head every day. Do you think your dragon head is very imposing and very handsome? Old Freak Three-Eyed also starts to hurl insults at him. The Blue Dragon Temple Master laughs out loud, not minding at all. At least I'm a bit more handsome than your toad head. The Blue Dragon Temple Master has a complacent expression. Old Freak Three-Eyed is so angry that his body trembles. He loves to be beautiful, but toads are extremely ugly, so he hates it when people call him a toad. However, the person who is talking about him now is the Blue Dragon Temple Master, a divine beast at the early Kongming stage. Azure Dragon, last time you snatched my jade sword, and I haven't settled accounts with you yet. This time you even dare to insult me. Fine, let's have another fight. He is extremely angry and starts to fight. Old Freak Three-Eyed's green hair flutters. In the blink of an eye, his human form arrives in front of the Blue Dragon Temple Master and slashes at him with his claw. His speed is much faster than even Qin Yu's. Snatched your jade sword? Bullshit. Last time that jade sword was originally ownerless. You and I had a fight and in the end I got it. How can you say I snatched yours? The Blue Dragon Temple Master roars furiously and also starts to fight. Everybody at the scene is dumbstruck. Old Freak Three-Eyed and the Blue Dragon Temple Master have unexpectedly started to fight not long after they met. Boom! Various forces of energy explode everywhere. The whole Black Rock Island is blown up one by one. Apparently, the fight between Old Freak Three-Eyed and the Blue Dragon Temple Master is simply a chaotic battle. Everybody else is trying to get out of the way carefully for fear of being caught in the crossfire. D-Long and the other four brothers are no longer able to attack Ho Fei as freely as they did just now, because Old Freak Three-Eyed and the Blue Dragon Temple Master are too fast. These two super experts are much faster than Qingyu. A moment ago they were still several hundred li away, but in just a short while they have arrived next to D-Long and the other four brothers. How can D-Long and the other four brothers fight Ho Fei so wholeheartedly? Perhaps if they are not careful, they will be seriously injured by the Blue Dragon Temple Master and Old Freak Three-Eyed. As the two of them fight, forces of energy explode everywhere. Of course, the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation is also attacked. But those forces of energy are only the remnants of the forces released by the Blue Dragon Temple Master and Old Freak Three-Eyed. This formation was set up jointly by the Seven Majesties, so it is impossible for them to break it just by relying on the remnants of their fighting forces. Fei, don't try to be brave. You'd better get out of here first. Qingyu immediately tells Ho Fei through his holy sense. At the moment, Ho Fei and the other four brothers are no longer fighting as fiercely as before. Of course, Ho Fei is much more relaxed. Moreover, he can run away at any time. Given Ho Fei's speed, it will be really difficult for D-Long and the other four brothers to catch up with him. Don't worry, big brother. Just now I was just careless, so I got injured a little. Besides, I haven't shown my real ability yet. I haven't entered Berserk mode yet. Ho Fei is now very relaxed. Qingyu feels relaxed in an instant. Being too concerned makes one confused. Seeing Ho Fei get injured, Qingyu unexpectedly forgets that Ho Fei can still enter Berserk mode. After entering Berserk mode, Ho Fei's power will increase directly. Right at this moment, Three-Eyed, you old freak. You're actually serious. The Blue Dragon Temple Master roars furiously. Just now Old Freak Three-Eyed cut his clothes with his hands, so naturally the Blue Dragon Temple Master is furious. A dazzling golden spear suddenly appears in his right hand out of nowhere. The Blue Dragon Temple Master uses this golden spear to completely suppress Old Freak Three-Eyed in an instant. Seeing this, Qingyu's heart trembles endlessly. This Blue Dragon Temple Master does not use skills like the experts on the Qianlong continent, but he uses pure power and speed. Countless silhouettes of spears shoot out from the Blue Dragon Temple Master's hands. Each silhouette is even more powerful than Qinyu's most powerful attack. Blue Dragon, take this. Completely suppressed, Old Freak Three-Eyed suddenly says in a shrill voice. At the same time, the vertical line between his eyebrows unexpectedly opens, revealing a vertical eye. A dark green ray of light shoots out like a beam of light. You're going all out. The Blue Dragon Temple Master cries in fear and hurriedly dodges. But that dark green ray of light is too fast, so it still pierces through his dragon robe. Three-Eyed, don't blame me for getting serious now that you've used that eye of yours. The Blue Dragon Temple Master's hands glitter. In the blink of an eye, they unexpectedly turn into black dragon claws, emitting an ice-cold metallic luster. His arms are covered in blue dragon scales. The attack of Old Freak Three-Eyed's third eye is extremely fierce and terrifying. Even the Blue Dragon Temple Master only dares to use his most powerful attack, his dragon claws, to resist it. His protective scales are also unable to resist this dark green ray of light. Old Freak Three-Eyed has become ruthless. Another dark green ray of light shoots out. As soon as the Blue Dragon Temple Master sees everybody's position, a faint, strange smile suddenly appears on his face. Instead of using his dragon claws to resist, he immediately dodges to one side. Because the Blue Dragon Temple Master has dodged, this dark green ray of light unexpectedly shoots towards D-Long. D-Long's face changes color greatly. He simply has no time to curse and does his utmost to dodge. But how can Old Freak Three-Eyed's attack be so easy to dodge? Roar! D-Long utters a wild roar. In the blink of an eye, he turns into a purple demon aquatic dragon that is over 100 m long. That dark green ray of light shoots through D Long's body, directly like a piece of paper, then shoots into the bottom of the sea and disappears. D Long turns back into his human form in the blink of an eye. Old freak three-eyed, why did you hurt me? D Long is furious. At the moment there is an extremely small wound on his abdomen, but he cannot stop it from bleeding no matter what he does. D Long, if I really wanted to hurt you, do you think you would still be alive? Old freak three-eyed's voice rises. But he is still fighting extremely fast against the Blue Dragon Temple Master. One after another, dark green rays of light shoot out. Everybody at the scene dodges in fear. Nobody dares to block such an attack head-on. D Long understands in his heart. If old freak three-eyed really wanted to kill him, those dark green rays of light would have exploded directly after entering his body, and he would have died for sure. However, old freak three-eyed didn't let the dark green rays of light explode inside his body. Having figured this out, D Long says no more at once. Whiz! Another dark green ray of light shoots out. However, this one unexpectedly shoots directly at the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Poof! Even though the dark green ray of light hesitates for a bit, it still pierces through the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation. Afterwards, after losing most of its energy, the dark green ray of light shoots through the ground of the Black Rock Island and disappears. The formation has been broken. The Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation has been broken. Qin Yu is stupefied. The D brothers of the Nine Spirits Hall are also astonished. Ho Fei is also stupefied. The attack of old freak three-eyed's third eye is his most powerful attack. Even the master of the Blue Dragon Temple does not dare to block it easily. Even though the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation has extremely strong defense, it is still broken by such a powerful attack. Old freak three-eyed you. D Long points at old freak three-eyed. He is so angry that his whole body trembles. He is unexpectedly unable to say anything. His brothers join hands to set up the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, while Qin Yu is not paying attention. Now Qin Yu and Di Feng are dead, so they cannot set up the formation even if they wanted to. Given Qin Yu's speed, how can they possibly trap Qin Yu? Three-eyed, you've really gone too far. D Long and the others worked very hard to set up this formation, but you broke it just like that. Azure Dragon also criticizes old freak three-eyed. Old freak three-eyed glares at D Long with his third eye. D Long, why did you set up the formation at the place where Azure Dragon and I were fighting? Old freak three-eyed says with a cold humph. The ferocious look in his eyes causes the 5D brothers' hearts to jump. They do not dare to say anything at once, but they are very indignant inside. Three-eyed, stop fighting. If you want to fight, wait until the matter with D Long and the others is settled first. Azure Dragon says in a good-natured manner. Old freak three-eyed gives a cold humph, then flies up to Lu Ku and the others without saying anything. Obviously he acquiesces to Azure Dragon's proposal. Just like this, after breaking the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, Azure Dragon and old freak three-eyed stop fighting. The 5D brothers are so angry that they do not know what to say. However, they do not notice a hint of amusement in the depths of the eyes of the master of the Blue Dragon Temple and old freak three-eyed. Three-eyed, your acting skills are pretty good. You're not bad either. Don't always call me a toad in the future. Otherwise I'll really have to fight you. The master of the Blue Dragon Temple and old freak three-eyed talk to each other through holy sense communication, but no one else knows about it. Chapter 154. With a flash of golden light, Qin Yu arrives at Ho Fei's side. Fei, let's join hands. Qin Yu clenches his fists. The flaming gloves stick to the surface of his fists like skin. Being trapped in the Great Six Harmonies Heavenly Gates formation, and having to watch Ho Fei fight alone, Qin Yu naturally has long wanted to come out and help. But no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to break the formation. Luckily, old freak three-eyed and the master of the Blue Dragon Temple were fighting each other, and inadvertently broke the formation. Kaka, big brother, if we brothers join hands, we'll be invincible in the world. Ho Fei says complacently while twisting his waist. The 5D brothers, Di Long, Di Jian, Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai, stare fixedly at Qin Yu and Ho Fei as if a layer of killing intent has been applied to their faces. Qin Yu and Ho Fei also stare at the 5D brothers in front of them, without flinching or retreating in the slightest. The 5D brothers against the two Qin Yu and Ho Fei brothers. The people of the Blue Dragon Temple and the people of the Blue River Province just watch from the sidelines and do nothing to help either side. The master of the Blue Dragon Temple looks at the D brothers, Qin Yu and Di Nai, while conversing with old freak Three-Eyed through his holy sense. Three-Eyed, who do you think will have the upper hand between the 5D brothers and Qin Yu and Di Nai? Upper hand? Of course it's those brats from the Nine Spirits Hall. Even though some of their brothers have died, the strongest Di Jian and Di Long are still alive. You should know that purple demon aquatic dragons are second only to divine beasts. They only took human form after going through the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Di Long, who's at the late Dongxi stage, will have his power increased several times when he takes on his true form. Old freak Three-Eyed obviously thinks that the 5D brothers have the upper hand. In the past, Di Jian alone was able to fight Ting Shan and Lu Ku, who are also at the late Dongxi stage, and even force them to retreat. It should be known that Tung Shan is also a horned dragon, and Lu Ku's true form is a blood toad, which is also extremely outstanding. This shows how formidable the purple demon aquatic dragons are. Qin Yu Ho Fei, Di Long shouts loudly. Afterwards, the 5 brothers rush towards Qin Yu and Ho Fei extremely fast. Qin Yu and Ho Fei look at each other and simultaneously dodge to the sides. Qin Yu only uses 80% of his speed as usual. However, even with 80% of his speed, he is still much faster than Di Long. Ho Fei, on the other hand, dodges nimbly and occasionally strikes with his stick. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yu was already several hundred li away. Standing in the air, Qin Yu closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This feeling is really wonderful. A heartfelt smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. He could clearly feel every muscle in his body, and even every part of his muscles, and every bone in his body. The feeling of being in complete control of his body was wonderful. Qin Yu placed great importance on flexibility when refining his body. Qin Yu Dai. Di Long roars loudly. His flying sword unexpectedly turns into a heavy sword. Holding the heavy sword, Di Long slashes down at Qin Yu's head. However, facing this attack, Qin Yu easily shakes his waist muscles and moves his body 2 or 3 meters away. Qin Yu moves as fast as lightning. At the same time, he puts his forefinger and middle finger together to form a sword, thrusting it directly at Di Long. Condensed and pure golden star power completely gathers on Qin Yu's sword fingers. Qin Yu's sword fingers flash with dazzling golden light. Qin Yu is too fast for Di Long to block with the heavy sword in his right hand. He has no choice but to form a fist with his left hand and punch at Qin Yu's sword fingers. When the fist comes, a glove unexpectedly appears. The glove is silver and purple, which is a top-grade holy weapon. Pung! Qin Yu's sword fingers and Di Long's fist meet force with force. Sharp golden stellar energy bursts out. Di Long's vigorous demonic elemental energy also bursts out. Qin Yu focuses on condensing and penetrating power, but Di Long has the advantage of vigorous power. This time they are unexpectedly evenly matched in this head-on clash. Triple attack. A hint of fierceness appears in Qin Yu's eyes. He uses the move that killed Di Tong in the past, Qin Yu. His fingers close, and the sword finger attack turns into a fist attack in the blink of an eye. Without any hesitation, Qin Yu forms a fist and attacks again. 3 attacks in a row. No matter how strong Di Long is, the bones and joints in his left hand are in great pain. Luckily, the glove is made from dragon scales fused with top-grade crystals, and has an extremely strong defense. However, Qin Yu's 3 attacks in a row still make his left hand almost lose its attacking power. What kind of move is this? Di Long finds it hard to believe. He is obviously stronger than Qin Yu, but just now his left hand was injured by Qin Yu. There is a hint of fierceness in Qin Yu's eyes. When I was traveling on the Qianlong continent, I learned a kind of attacking technique called 1-inch punch. This move was modified from one-inch punch. This move of Qin Yu's was indeed inspired by one-inch punch. This move is not as simple as 3 attacks in a row. If it were really so simple, one-inch punch would not be so hard to learn. After all, if you attack once, when you attack a second time, the enemy will also attack a second time. The secret of this one-inch punch 3 attack in a row lies in the word connect. No matter who it is, if a punch has to have attacking power, there must at least be some space to activate it. For example, if you want to throw a punch, you must at least throw it out. If your fist does not move, and you only rely on the demonic elemental energy in your body, your attacking power will naturally be very weak. One-inch punch 3 attack is to not give the enemy any space to activate it. At the same time, you will attack continuously. When the sword finger shrinks, a space will be created. However, this space cannot be used by the enemy to attack you. This is the experience of the technique. The connect formula requires both experience and comprehension. This is not something that you can learn just because you know the principle. Mortal humph, you even learn mortal things. Dilong's words are full of disdain. I'd like to see what kind of skills you have. This time, I definitely won't give you any chance. After saying so, Dilong disregards everything else and directly uses his violent demonic elemental energy to attack Qin Yu. Bullying. This is definitely bullying. Dilong relies on his powerful demonic elemental energy to directly control it to fly out and then restrict Qin Yu's movements while crazily attacking Qin Yu. Run. Qin Yu can only helplessly rely on his speed to dodge again and occasionally launch a sneak attack or two. A technique attack can only be used once or twice. If it is used too many times, the enemy will naturally know how to deal with it. At that time he may be finished. On the battlefield, Qin Yu turns into a golden beam of light, shuttling back and forth between the 5D brothers and attacking Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai from time to time. Hou Fei dodges nimbly and smashes randomly with his black stick at any time like a black shadow. For a moment, the battlefield is in a stalemate. Three-eyed, didn't you say the 9 Spirits Halls people would win? Why does it look like they're evenly matched now? Azure Dragon says mockingly through his holy sense. Evenly matched? You can't say that. It's just that Qin Yu is really very fast. Even though he can't defeat Di Long and the others, Di Long and the others can't injure Qin Yu either. But just wait and see. The situation will change very soon. Old Freak Three-Eyed says very confidently through holy sense communication. 3rd brother, 4th brother, 6th brother, 9th brother. Directly use your true forms to kill them. Di Long has been fighting for a long time, but has not been able to kill Qin Yu and Hou Fei, so he immediately gives an order. Okay. Di Jian, Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai all agree. Afterwards 5 dragon roars are heard. The 5D brothers transform into 5 purple demon aquatic dragons at the same time. The 5 purple demon aquatic dragons float in the air. Their 100m long bodies alone give people a kind of endless pressure. Their black single horn glitters with cold light. Qin Yu's face changes color at once. He once witnessed the big fight between Di Tong and Shahon, and saw how formidable Di Tong was when he transformed into a purple demon aquatic dragon. Once they use their true forms, their power will increase tremendously. Fei, their power will increase a lot after they use their true forms. Qin Yu immediately says through holy sense communication, "Don't worry. Hou Fei does not care about this at all." The fighting intent in his eyes becomes even more blazing. The 5 purple demon aquatic dragons swing their tails and turn into 5 purple blurs in an instant. In the blink of an eye, they attack Qin Yu and Hou Fei. They are so fast that Hou Fei, who was still in high fighting intent just now, is greatly shocked. He hurriedly swings his stick at them. Pung! Hou Fei's black stick and Di Long's black single horn collide violently. Di Long is not affected at all, but Hou Fei is sent flying. Damn it, my power has really increased a lot. I simply can't stop this Di Long now. At the moment Hou Fei also feels that the situation is a bit bad. Pung! Qin Yu's fists collide with Di Yang's dragon tail. Di Yang retreats a bit. Qin Yu also feels his fists go numb. Originally he could have easily defeated Di Yang, but now that he has transformed into his true form, Qin can only fight him to a draw at most. That day when I killed Di Tong, if he had not lost an arm, if he had not been in his human form, if I had not launched a sneak attack on him, if I had not disregarded the fact that my arm had been cut off. At the moment Qin Yu's heart trembles with fear. Even though he knew he was lucky, it was not until he fought Di Yang, who was also at the middle Dongshu stage, that Qin Yu discovered how formidable Di Yang was after transforming into his true form. Di Tong's death at that time was really very unjust. Speed up. Surrounded by dangers, Qin Yu finally makes a decision. 100%. By now Qin Yu no longer hides his speed. He directly increases it from 80% to 100%, and from 80% to 100%. This is an increase of a whole new level. Previously the attacks that could have threatened Qin Yu can't even touch his body now. On the battlefield, after the 5D brothers have transformed into their true forms, their power has increased greatly. Qin Yu is at most at the same level as Di Yang, Di Su and Di Nai. Facing Di Long and Di Jian, Qin Yu simply cannot resist their attacks. The gap between them is really too big. Qin Yu increases his speed to the extreme. His whole body keeps shuttling back and forth like a golden beam of light. Even though the 5 purple demon aquatic dragons are formidable, they still cannot harm Qin Yu. Hou Fei is only a bit more powerful than Di Yang and Di Jian, so he cannot resist Di Long and Di Jian. Moreover, his speed is now even slower than Di Long's. He has already clashed with Di Long and Di Jian several times. At the moment, Hou Fei is even more dangerous than Qin Yu. Azure Dragon, am I right? Once the 5D brothers transform into their true forms, their power increases greatly at once, and they can immediately suppress Qin Yu and Hou Fei. But this Qin Yu's speed is really fast, somewhat outrageously fast. Old Freak Three-Eyed exclaims in admiration. Azure Dragon also exclaims in admiration. Just now I was already amazed by this Qin Yu's speed. I didn't expect that he was still hiding his strength just now. Now TSK, perhaps only you and I have 100% confidence in suppressing his speed in the underwater Shiyao world. Originally, Qin Yu's speed was already extremely fast at 80%. Now that he is at 100%, his speed is simply abnormal. Is his true form fast or not? However, Qin Yu's speed at 100% is almost 30% to 40% faster than his true form. The 5 purple demon aquatic dragons on the field simply cannot do anything to Qin Yu. It's a pity that Qin Yu can't do anything to these 5 purple demon aquatic dragons either. Three-Eyed, tell me now, when can the 5D brothers win? Azure Dragon asks. For Azure Dragon and Old Freak Three-Eyed, this is nothing but an entertainment show. They have never paid attention to it. Old Freak Three-Eyed thinks for a while then says, in my opinion, it'll be very difficult for the 5D brothers to kill Qin Yu. But that Hou Fei, even though he's a divine beast and has great potential, he's only reached the late stage of yuanning. Perhaps he won't be able to persist for long. You see, he's already been seriously injured. Azure Dragon nods in agreement. They can see the situation on the field very clearly. Fei, watch out. Qin Yu hugs Hou Fei as fast as lightning. At the same time, he dodges a whip from Di Long's dragon tail. However, as soon as Qin Yu and Hou Fei dodge this attack, a huge dragon claw descends from the sky and grabs directly at their heads. Qin Yu hurriedly withdraws from Hou Fei, and himself also flies backwards, dodging this attack again. Fei had some advantage in speed when these 5 aquatic dragons didn't transform into their true forms. But now he doesn't have any advantage at all. Qin Yu is very anxious in his heart. I don't know why Fei still hasn't entered the berserk state at this moment. Qin Yu has already reminded Hou Fei to enter the berserk state once, but Hou Fei has not responded. Fei, why are you still hiding your power? Qin Yu rebukes angrily via holy sense communication. Hou Fei grimaces at Qin Yu. Big brother, after leaving the berserk state, my whole body hurts terribly. Forget it, these 5 little insects are really too much. Hou Fei hurriedly dodges an attack. Growl. Hou Fei turns his head upwards and roars furiously. A roar like that of an ancient ferocious beast is heard. Immediately, the entire ocean starts to roar. The seawater completely surrounds Hou Fei. Ho Fei's muscles begin to swell, and his bones begin to grow longer and thicker. His height also increases extremely fast. From the original height of a normal person, it starts to increase in a straight line. 5m, 8m, 10m, 20m, 30m. Everybody is dumbfounded. Not only Qinyu, but even the 5 purple demon aquatic dragons also stop attacking in terror. In just a short while, Ho Fei stops transforming. At this moment, Ho Fei's berserk aura is terrifyingly strong, and his height has reached nearly 50m. Ho Fei's entire body has been enlarged by about 26 or 27 times. His black stick has also become larger and thicker. At this moment, Ho Fei's hair is the color of seawater. Streams of water surround his body, but his eyes are fiery red, as if they are burning flames. The legendary divine beast, fire-eyed water ape. Ho Fei has finally entered the berserk state. Chapter 155. Ho Fei is a terrifying huge ape with a height of nearly 50m. Numerous water columns as thick and long as purple demon aquatic dragons are constantly moving around Ho Fei's body and arms. His fiery red eyes are blazing with flames. For the moment, everybody at the scene is shocked. Tung Shan, Lu Ku and the others open their eyes wide. They have never thought that such an unremarkable ape could become so terrifying. At the moment, even Tung Shan and Lu Ku do not have enough courage to fight Ho Fei. The expressions of the master of the Blue Dragon Temple, an old freak three-eyed, also change color. They exchange a look. Fei, this is your berserk state? Qinyu's expression is also astounded. He heard Ho Fei himself say that after entering berserk state, his power will increase a lot. However, he did not expect that after entering berserk state, Ho Fei's power will be like this. The huge ape turns its head upwards and roars. Big brother, watch how I tear them apart. Ho Fei's voice rises in Qinyu's mind. Qinyu gives a smile. Even if he is here now, Ho Fei will not be able to move freely, so he might as well stay far away and let Ho Fei fight freely. Qinyu can see that just now Ho Fei was only a little weaker than the 5 dragons. Now Ho Fei's power has increased a lot, so it will definitely not be difficult for him to deal with the 5 dragons. Fei, it's up to you now. Qinyu's body moves, transforming into a golden beam of light. He moves along a curved line and goes several tens li away in an instant. Now Qinyu has become an outsider from being a part of the game. However, at the moment the 5D brothers basically do not stop Qinyu. The 5 brothers' attention was completely focused on Ho Fei. Qinyu is extremely fast, but his attacks are not a big threat to them. It was very difficult for them to kill Qinyu, but it was also very difficult for Qinyu to kill them. Therefore, they simply ignored Qinyu. Moreover, the giant ape in front of them was giving them too much pressure. Roar, roar. 5 purple demon flood dragons soared into the sky, roaring at Ho Fei. The giant ape suddenly raised its head and pounded its chest with its fists, as if it had gone mad. Howls rang out in all directions. At the same time, thousands of kilometers of the sea went completely crazy. Waves rose up to 100 meters high, and countless water pillars were controlled by the giant ape. Suddenly, the giant ape stopped roaring. Its blazing eyes stared at the 5 purple demon aquatic dragons in front of it, filled with endless coldness. As a blur, Ho Fei unexpectedly moves several li away in an instant, and directly grabs at the purple demon aquatic dragon that Di Long has transformed into. Di Long is also unwilling to be outdone. He roars and charges the black horn on his head towards Ho Fei. Ho Fei waved his hand. Pa! That huge palm violently hits the purple demon aquatic dragon. However, Di Long's entire body, which is over 100 meters long, trembles for a while and unexpectedly disperses Ho Fei's huge force. At the same time, his black horn thrusts towards Ho Fei's left hand. Die! The giant ape suddenly shouts loudly. His voice is deep and resounding. The huge black stick in his right hand unexpectedly smashes down at Di Long directly. Di Long's huge dragon body swings and soars into the sky directly. Once Di Long's body stands up, he is actually much taller than Ho Fei. Facing Ho Fei's black stick, The black horn on Di Long's head unexpectedly begins to grow longer. Moreover, it rushes towards Ho Fei's black stick. Bang! The black stick and the black horn collide against each other. Di Long's body trembles and is sent flying several tens of li away. Then it twists its body and soars into the sky again. Ho Fei also takes several steps backwards successively. Ho Fei treads on the waves, but does not sink down at all. Haha, you little worm. You're really too weak. Even though Ho Fei has turned into a giant ape, at the moment he still has his reason. It's just that his voice has become much deeper. Just now when the two of them were facing each other head-on, Ho Fei only took several steps backwards and dispelled the opponent's attack power. Di Long, on the other hand, has been sent flying several tens of li away. Obviously he has suffered some injuries. Who is stronger and who is weaker can be seen at once. Brothers, let's attack together. Di Long uses the secret method of ventriloquism. His voice resounds through the sky of the sea area. Immediately, 5 purple demon aquatic dragons charge at Ho Fei from different directions while hissing. Ho Fei's expression immediately becomes solemn. He is ready to brandish the black stick in his hand at any moment. He is not afraid of Di Long alone. If Di Long and Di Jian join hands, Ho Fei can barely be considered a draw. However, if 5 purple demon aquatic dragons attack him at the same time, he does not have 3 heads and 6 arms. Moreover, after entering the berserk state, even though his offensive power and defensive power have increased greatly, his speed and agility have decreased a lot. Ho Fei's blazing eyes suddenly glitter. 1 against 5. If I can't win, I'll concentrate on killing one. Facing the siege of 5 purple demon aquatic dragons, Ho Fei does not move at all. All the onlookers are watching him without blinking. All of a sudden, an ape roar rises. The several li of the sea area around Ho Fei becomes completely chaotic. Waves roll up several hundred meters like a tornado. Ho Fei's body also disappears into the waves. Finding that their line of sight has been blocked by the waves, the 5 purple demon aquatic dragons are extremely furious. They immediately spread out their holy senses. As soon as they take a look, they become very worried. They see Ho Fei raising his black stick high and attacking Di Yang, the third brother of the brothers. Di Yang is only at the middle Dongshu stage. Although he has transformed into a purple demon aquatic dragon, he is absolutely no match for Ho Fei, who has entered the berserk state. He can launch sneak attacks, but facing Ho Fei head-on is no different from courting death. Di Yang is startled and furious. He opens his mouth and shoots out a green beam of light. It lengthens as soon as it meets the wind. The originally normal-size flying sword becomes more than 100 zhang long in a short while. Ho Fei's black stick becomes as long as Ho Fei's. The two collide with each other, producing a sound of metal crashing. Ha! Ho Fei utters a furious roar. That flying sword is knocked aside. The black stick is still smashing down. The other brothers simply have no time to help. Di Yang reacts very fast. The moment he shoots out the flying sword, his horn also lengthens directly. Clang! The black stick and the horn, which has become more than 10 m long, collide. A very short black shadow can be clearly seen falling into the sea. Third brother. The 4 brothers Di Long, Di Su, Di Jian and Di Nai are both anxious and furious. Just now, that black shadow was a part of Ho Fei's horn. A moment ago, a part of Ho Fei's horn was unexpectedly smashed off by him. However, what frightens the 4 brothers the most is that Ho Fei's stick is too fast. As soon as the first stick has passed, the second stick has already arrived. Pung! The stick smashes heavily on Di Yang's huge dragon body. A large mouthful of blood spurts out from Di Yang's mouth. His whole dragon body is sent flying extremely fast towards the west. While flying, Di Yang directly transforms into his human form. At the moment, he is coughing up blood non-stop, and his face is extremely pale. Seeing this scene, the other 4 brothers all go mad with fury. They all know that Di Yang's injury is so serious that he is unable to maintain his true form, and has directly transformed into his human form. After all, the human form consumes the least amount of energy, while the huge dragon body consumes the most energy. Extremely furious, the 4 brothers attack Ho Fei simultaneously. Suddenly poof! Ah! A miserable cry rises. Di Long, Di Su, Di Jian and Di Nai's dragon bodies all tremble. They unexpectedly stop and fly towards Di Yang at the same time. At the moment, Di Yang's body is completely exhausted, while Qin Yu is holding a yuanying in his palm. That yuanying is none other than Di Yang's. Seeing that the four brothers have noticed him, Qin Yu's palm blazes with golden light. With a shrill miserable cry, Di Yang's soul disperses. No! Seeing this scene, the four brothers are completely stupefied. Qin Yu, who has been watching the play from afar, discovers that Di Yang is seriously injured and is even flying towards him. Of course Qin Yu will not let go of this opportunity. Relying on his own speed, he catches the seriously injured Di Yang's yuanying in just one move. Without any hesitation, Hou Fei shatters Di Yang's soul. Di Long, it took me almost a year to reach the Nine Spirits Hall from the Red Blood Cave with Di Jian and the other two majesties. On the way, I never ran away nor did I complain. When we reached the Nine Spirits Hall, I answered everything you asked me. But what did you do to me? You directly wanted Jingzhe to devour me. You even said that it was my honor to be killed by you. Now I'm returning these words to you. It's also your third brother's honor to be killed by me. Three-eyed. Azure Dragon's face has been gloomy ever since he saw Hou Fei transform into a huge ape. Azure Dragon, are you worried or frightened? Old Freak Three-Eye's green hair also starts to flutter non-stop. Those who are familiar with him know that when his green hair flutters like this, it is a sign of his killing intent. Azure Dragon gives a smile. Aren't you the same? Old Freak Three-Eyed says with a nod. That's right. In the underwater Shuoyao world, the appearance of a divine beast other than us is already the limit of my tolerance. If Hou Fei was only an ordinary divine beast, I wouldn't have cared too much. But he can unexpectedly transform again. His power has increased so much that it's comparable to my third eye. Azure Dragon says with a nod. There are differences between divine beasts. Three-eyed, you're only at the late Dongxu stage while I'm already at the early Kongming stage. I'm a whole stage higher than you. But if we really fight, I'll barely be able to defeat you. If we fight to the death, perhaps we'll both perish together. It's good that you know. Old Freak Three-Eyed appears to be a bit arrogant. As far as I know, I'm the only three blue-eyed toad in history. Which divine beast at the same level as me can defeat me? But if this Hou Fei is at the same level as me, he definitely won't be weaker than me. So Three-Eyed, why don't you get into action? Azure Dragon says smilingly. Old Freak Three-Eyed takes a look at Azure Dragon and says through Holy Sense communication. Me? Why should I? Aren't you the #1 expert of the overseas Xiuzhen world? You're already very unhappy that I'm here. Can you tolerate the appearance of this Hou Fei? Neither Azure Dragon nor Old Freak Three-Eyed can tolerate anyone surpassing them. If Hou Fei is only an ordinary divine beast, they won't care too much about him. After all, they are also divine beasts and their power is far superior to that of Hou Fei's. But Hou Fei is an extremely rare and unusual divine beast, so that's another matter altogether. Azure Dragon says helplessly. You let me get into action, and I let you get into action. When will this end? How about this? You and I will bind Hou Fei's legs together so that he can't move at all. Then we'll let those purple bugs get into action. Old Freak Three-Eyed frowns. Let those bugs kill a divine beast, and an unusual one at that. The three blue-eyed toad is no ordinary divine beast. In his eyes, the purple demon aquatic dragon is simply not worth mentioning. Old Freak Three-Eyed has always been very proud. Even Azure Dragon, whose power is one level higher than his, is a bit stronger than him. Between Azure Dragon and the three blue-eyed toad, the latter is naturally more noble. You don't want the purple demon aquatic dragon to kill Hou Fei? Are you willing to get into action? Azure Dragon is somewhat angry. Old Freak Three-Eyed ponders for a while. However, at this moment a miserable cry rises. While they are talking, Qin Yu has already killed Di Yang. Old Freak Three-Eyed finally says with a nod. All right. I'll bind his hands and you bind his legs. Azure Dragon immediately bursts out laughing. Qin Yu. The 4D brothers roar furiously at the same time then charge at Qin Yu. Since Qin Yu killed Di Yang, the The four of them naturally want to avenge him. Ho Fei's body instantly turns into a golden beam of light and flies towards the northeast at once. However, he is a bit closer to Ho Fei. Seeing the 4D brothers besiege Qingyu, Ho Fei becomes furious at once. He brandishes his black stick and is about to charge at them. Suddenly, Azure Dragon, Old Freak Three-Eyed shouts. He reaches out with both hands. Two extremely fast green rays of light shoot out from his hands. Not allowing Ho Fei to dodge in the slightest, they directly bind Ho Fei's hands. Afterwards, Old Freak Three-Eyed withdraws his hands. At the same time, Azure Dragon also sends out two green rays of light, which bind Ho Fei's legs in an instant. They bind Ho Fei's hands and feet like shackles, making it impossible for him to move. Growl growl. Ho Fei roars furiously. At the same time, he exerts his strength continuously. The muscles on Ho Fei's arms bulge, but he simply can't deal with the demonic elemental energy that binds his hands. His feet simply can't make any big movements either. Seeing this scene, Qingyu cannot help being stupefied. The 4D brothers are also stupefied. You four, why are you still in a daze? Why haven't you killed that Ho Fei yet? Azure Dragon says in an indifferent voice, which contains an oppressive and ice-cold power. The 4D brothers are delighted at once. Now Ho Fei's hands and feet are bound. If they still can't kill Ho Fei, they might as well commit suicide. Di Long reacts the fastest. With a wave of his dragon tail, he charges at Ho Fei first. Immediately, Di Jian, Di Su and Di Nai also realize what's going on. They also follow suit and charge at Ho Fei with a wave of their dragon tails. Ho Fei is so anxious that he roars furiously. The ocean is surging with billowing waves. However, none of this can stop the 4D brothers' killing intent. Not far from them, Qingyu sees all this. The transmitter given to him by Uncle Lon appears in his hand. Uncle Lon, come quickly and save me on the Black Rock Island more than 200,000 li to the southwest of the Nine Spirits Hall. In an instant, this message is transmitted through his holy sense. Afterwards, Qingyu does not hesitate at all. His whole body is filled with golden star energy. Like a burning Lu Xing, Qingyu recklessly charges at Di Long, who is the first to charge at Ho Fei. In the golden light, Qingyu's eyes are not timid at all. In front of him is a huge purple demon aquatic dragon that is more than 100 m long. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.